quickly into space. Concepcion, blockers in front, and here he goes. KC says TD.
This is 365 Sports.
Final 30 seconds of the quarter. Second down throw to the end zone. Douglas. Touchdown, Texas Tech. What a drive.
365 Sports is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Sorsby the key. What a cut! Broken ankles! See ya!
365 Sports is also brought to you by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, protecting Texans since 1952.
Another first down for Vandy. Pressure off the edge. He steps up, and now he's going to run for the end zone and score. Diego Pavia.
Remember when you had a guy, someone who could fix anything? They're still out there at Batteries Plus. With their quick solutions and expert advice on batteries, key fobs, and phone repair, Batteries Plus will have you in and out and on your way in no time. Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
Brown takes another shot. Wide open Koger. Touchdown, South Florida. 63 yards.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Here we are this Friday afternoon, closing out the first full week in January. And oh, my goodness, what a game it was last night with Ole Miss and Miami. We will discuss it. We'll look at it. Of course, also preview Indiana, Oregon tonight. Good afternoon, 365 Sports with Paul Catalina, Craig Smoak. I'm David Smoak. We do appreciate your time. Off the top, if you haven't subscribed to our channel, we would love for you to do that. Pass it along to others if you like it. And then also, if you don't mind, hit the like button. So tonight, semifinal game. Let's get this one out first because they've got work to do to try to in any way match what we saw last night. Oregon and Indiana in a game with the winner getting Miami as they play tonight in Atlanta in the Peach Bowl in a rematch of a game earlier this year.
Yeah, this is the time of year where it's fun to have a rematch where you had a really good game earlier in the year that Indiana won, and then now you get possible vengeance or possible confirmation of the first one wasn't a fluke at all, which it wasn't, but all the trash talk that will be between those two teams. I'm looking forward to tonight. Last night's game was really fun. And I'm trying to reconcile all my emotions about it. But it was a really fun game to watch. Oregon, Indiana, neither of these teams have ever won a title. So, let's grip it and rip it tonight.
Yeah, I mean, they've got big shoes to fill, obviously, with last night's events. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun rolling with momentum into this one. People so excited about what they saw last night, hoping that this can match that, maybe exceed that, although that would be hard to do. And just jazzed up to see who's going to meet this Miami team in the national championship game. And, either way, it's a really intriguing storyline. First-time national champion versus a team that's won many national championships but hasn't won one in a really long time. So that's the matchup we're getting regardless of who wins tonight. It was a great game the first time around. Indiana, their biggest scare of the year, and a late touchdown and lots of dramatics, and I don't know if that's what we're in store for tonight, but it'll be a war. I'm sure Dan Lanning and company are chomping at the bit. I know they've got some running back issues going on right now as far as injuries go, so you're a little bit concerned about that if you're Oregon based on the latest, most recent updated medical reports. But, this ought to be a hell of a game tonight.
Yeah, I did see more news on the Oregon running back that entered the portal will actually be suited out and might play tonight. How about that? Good. Lanning goes, no, he's in the portal, but because of their issues they've had at depth at running back, he will be available. Now, how in the world do we top last night? What a game. Just phenomenal. And I hated to see Ole Miss lose because of the Cinderella story of them and doing what they're doing. Love that team a lot. And then again, really happy for Mario Cristobal in Miami because remember, a lot of people didn't think they should have been a part of the playoff. They've now won 6 games, I think it is, 6 or 7-0 this year against top 25 teams, including the win against Ole Miss. It went down to the wire. Carson back, Trinidad Chambliss what else could you want? And it went down to the last second. And even Chambliss is going to throw a dart in the end zone. Somebody's going to catch it. And it wouldn't have surprised me.
No, and look, that would have killed Miami fans again. That would have made them 0-5. And the Fiesta Bowl in both games maybe ending almost kind of ended similar. I do think that Ole Miss fans really wanted a pass interference call on that, and I could have seen it go either way. But maybe the universe just, gave Miami a little pat on the back for what happened back in 2003 with Ohio State getting out of a bogus pass interference penalty that denied Miami would have been their 6th national championship, and that was the last time that they even that they played for.
The one I remember in the Fiesta Bowl with Miami was Penn State back when they had an unbelievable team. But they do get away with a win, and what a game. I just keep saying that, but that's all I put up on Twitter. Didn't say much during the game. Just said, what a game.
Yeah, you mentioned Penn State. Penn State's actually who gave Indiana their toughest contest. I was thinking of Oregon for some reason, but it was Penn State that they had the big touchdown catch there in the back of the end zone. But that Oregon game, still a close game, still very competitive, and Indiana just really taking over late and being able to run that one away. But point stands that I'm expecting a slobber knocker tonight between those two teams and a hell of a game, and I'm sure Oregon's just hoping to play much cleaner and give themselves a better chance there at the end. But having cleaned that up now, to last night, I'm like, I think millions of other people. Congrats, Carson Beck. I mean, first of all, congrats to Miami. I think they're at a place now where it's been long enough where they've won a title and they've kind of had to tone things down as far as compared to their peak when they were running college football, basically. This isn't the olden days, even though you still see some of those faces on the sidelines like Ray Lewis and Michael Irvin. They're just not as hateable as they used to be, is my point. So I think there's probably years and years ago where you'd watch Miami and under no circumstances would you root for them to win. But last night I'm sitting there going, I'm kind of loving seeing Miami maybe win this game. And at the same time, I'm watching Ole Miss and I'm going, you know what? This is just awesome college football. And I actually had to think this to myself, and I debated on whether to bring this up, but you know how territorial everything has gotten to the point I complain about it all the time because I just think it kind of ruins your fandom. I was sitting there going, well, God, if Ole Miss wins and the SEC gets a title and they get to say, and then if Miami wins, and I'm like, who gives a shit? Like, I just want to see a good college football game, and if the SEC wins or the ACC or whoever, then who cares? I just want to see a good game, and that's what I basically just told myself there. And you know what? I sat back and I enjoyed the hell out of every minute of it.
I did too.
And I didn't care who won. Either way, I was just completely entertained by that football game. And so, hats off to the Rebs. What a run. I mean, they've got a very bright future there with Pete Golding. Very easy to root for because of the whole Lane Kiffin situation. And, man, they left every ounce of blood, sweat, and tears out there on that field. And, I thought that, you could see Carson Beck holding off throwing up on the sidelines because you could see he just felt like Chambliss was going to throw a touchdown and win that game. Like he was waiting for the shoe to drop after they got the couple chunks of yardage, and he looks like he's just turning green on the sidelines because he's waiting for a big play to ruin their dreams. And instead, Miami's able to fend them off. But Ole Miss is a great story. Miami will continue to be a great story, and that was a great football game. And as much as there might have been some stinkers or just uncompetitive games in the first round, we have started off the semifinals with an absolute banger.
Yes, the College Football Playoff Committee, which really just places teams where they're told to place them, not because of like some college football Jesus, but because of the way it's put together. In the end, if tonight's a banger too, then they've done their job. Now, Miami is beaten number 6 Notre Dame, number 18 USF, number 18 at the time Florida State, number 22 Pitt, 7th ranked A&M on the road, 2nd ranked Ohio State, and number 6 Ole Miss. 7-0 against ranked teams.
FSU doesn't count as the ranked win anymore, but
unless they needed to straight the schedule and their playoff argument.
They beat 7 teams who at the time they played them were ranked in the top 25.
Yes. One of them was masquerading as a good team until after that point. But Miami, and I've said this on the show, just as a fan of FSU, I do miss the days where the 3 schools in Florida ran college football. I would much rather, as a fan of FSU, lose to Miami and Florida than lose to Boston College or NC State or Virginia or anything else. So I miss those days. it was hard for me to reconcile even saying that with watching Miami be so successful last night. But if this is the first tier to getting it back there, then I actually am for it. And they are, Craig, you were right. They are not as unlikable as they used to be, but that was also kind of their thing. They wanted to be unlikable. I don't think Mario Cristobal has that like gear to him like Jimmy Johnson or Dennis Erickson or Butch Davis did, even Howard Schnellenberger, like all the guys that were – Larry Coker wasn't unlikable, but he just rode the wave of I've got bad dudes here. So they've had all these guys that were fine letting the U play that classic role. I think Mario Cristobal, what he's done is brought back the old guys from the U and created such a fun atmosphere around it where when you watch games, it's not just Michael Irvin who's there going nuts on the sidelines, but you know, it's Andre Johnson and Edgerrin James and Ray Lewis and all these people who are big parts of their successful past that are now re-ingrained into the program and really promoting them and helping them and making them look and remind or teach kids that like, hey, back in the day, we used to run this whole sport. And that is kind of cool to see. And I hope again that they can sustain it. They appear to have a really good plan. They have a really good plan going forward. Again, the only fly in the ointment is can you get a senior, junior quarterback every single year in the portal, or do you maybe one year run out of musical chairs?
That's what Indiana's having to do. That's what a lot of teams are having to do. That's kind of the game plan now for a lot of different programs.
Well, and I think they'll worry about that when the time comes. I'm sure they're worrying about that right now with the portal being open and they're having to double dip like Ole Miss was up until last night, and obviously like Indiana and Oregon are having to do. But yeah, I think in this sport, it's probably all walks of life we do this now, but we're always looking ahead, like constantly. And I think if you're a Miami fan, you need to get a quarterback for next year, and this may be setting up for a nice run, but damn it, man, enjoy this because it's taken you a long time to get to this point, and you could still fall short and be disappointed. So you got another game to win, and they are a really good team. That defense is just sensational, as it's as advertised. And it looked early on like they were just going to kind of swallow up Ole Miss. And you go, oh, boy, is this going to get kind of off the rails early? And to Ole Miss's credit, and to Miami's credit as well, they gave them the ball back a few times to help make that a little bit more of a balanced game and then turn into the thriller that it was. But, I think Miami is just a really impressive put-together team. Their lines on both sides are tremendous. They've got really good skill guys, and their quarterback had some big mistakes last night. But when they needed him to be the guy that they went and paid millions of dollars to get to be the difference maker for them, he delivered in every single way. So Carson Beck, much aligned, and I know that's now become part of the story now of Miami, and I'm sure there will be like a pregame show story on Carson Beck getting bullied online or whatever, but I felt so happy for him, and I have no skin in the game, but I have seen it. I've criticized him. I didn't think he was the greatest quarterback in the world, but you know what? He's shut me up, and he shut up a lot of others as far as where he's been able to help take Miami. But it is definitely a team effort. It is the lines, it's the defense, it's Mark Fletcher, it's all of them, and they are just a really well put together team. And I was almost waiting for Cristobal to make some stupid decision last night to like handed Ole Miss the ball back with too much time or something, but he kept his head cool. And, that was just a really impressive win, and they're going to be a tough out for Indiana or Oregon, whoever they end up facing once we find out tonight.
Chambliss was amazing, and at the same time could have thrown 4 picks in that game. Carson Beck with the magic moment when he takes off, scrambles, and had enough of a room and the presence about him to just get to the end zone. Miami winning that game last night because of the ACC rule. Look at this number, $20 million they have added to their program because of the ACC rule that allows members to keep 100% of the prize money during the playoff run. And this, of course, 20 plus the travel budget for next week, Paul, $3 million, and they're in their own backyard. $23 million that they get to say, thank you. And thank you, Clemson and Florida State, for suing the ACC.
Just don't go too nuts with the room service since you're, on the CFP budget. You don't want to be sluggish getting in there on Monday night. But the teams. And here's the thing: the teams stay in hotels even at home stadiums anyway. It's what everybody does. They take their team to a hotel the night before so that they can kind of control the environment better. So then that's done all the time. So it's not like they're going to a hotel in their own town. They've never done that before. They'll be in a really nice spot. They don't have to travel at all. They're playing in their home stadium. I think the only thing that could happen is if like you lose a coin flip, you might wind up not being in your own locker room, which I think is a pretty minor thing. And they probably use the NFL locker rooms for that anyway. This is going to be a boon for them. And that $3 million extra bucks, I mean, I would assume that, 75% of it won't get spent and they can just put it right into their coffers.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to not have to travel after you've been traveling the last couple of rounds. So that's great for those who are probably already stretching it thin, the holidays, and then trying to travel around. Now, I know they got some big boosters who haven't felt it at all. They'd private plane it to L.A. if that's where the national championship was being played. But, yeah, it's nice to have your backyard as your place to defend, whether you're the home or visitor. I'm not sure if that's been determined yet, but nice to have that.
No, Miami is the visitor, I think.
Oh, they are the visitor? Okay.
I think that's true. I don't know if it matters about who wins tonight, but I think that they might be the visitor.
Well, either way, to be in Miami is a nice feather in their cap and certainly a slight at minimum advantage for them going into whoever they play. But I'm sure Indiana will travel in Oregon. We know how thirsty they've been for a national title and how much they've – it is funny. I mean, it gets brought up and it gets brought back around, but I have seen a number of Oregon fans complaining about Texas Tech, which I just find so ironic. And I've seen, a lot of talk about this and that. I mean, Oregon's a team that's been pumping money into this thing to try to get to this point for as long as anybody, longer than probably anybody. I think Clemson had a bit of success and had that title in the 80s, and then they were relevant, but then Dabo kind of built them up, but they still had a little bit of history, whereas Oregon's been building and building and building. So I think whoever is on the other side of Miami at the Orange Bowl, yeah, it's going to be a jam-packed house. There will probably be a little slight Miami advantage, if anything, just because it's so close to home, but that's going to be just a complete animal house. And I'm sure tonight will be great as well.
Hard Rock Stadium has not been a great home environment for them compared to what the Orange Bowl was. But I would say that becomes different when you play the national championship game in there.
Yeah, I just think of every game as the Orange Bowl, but you're right, it's Hard Rock Stadium. But I just think Miami, I think of Orange Bowl.
Yeah. So I think, and look, this coincided with it. When they tore down the Orange Bowl and moved them into Hard Rock Stadium, they took out a lot of the heart of the fandom, because the Orange Bowl was a stadium where, look, Miami's a small private school. Miami's a city it's kind of the opposite of Chicago, where not everybody's bought in all the time for whatever reason. So it gets to be, and this is not an indictment of the University of Miami at all, but it gets to be a little bit of a kind of an ebb and flow of the fans. But I do know this, that if it's a national championship game on their home turf, Hard Rock Stadium will be rocking, and it will be as loud as that stadium has been for a Miami Hurricanes home game ever. But yeah, I do think, and I understand why they had to do it. It's an old, dilapidated stadium. It was not in the easiest part or best part of town to be in or get to, but they really took the soul out of it was intimidating to be in there. So did you ever go to a game in the Orange Bowl?
Yep.
It was, you walk in the door, even if it wasn't a Miami game, you walk in the door.
I'm going to compare it to a pro stadium in Washington at what is RFK Stadium, a smaller place that would literally shake.
You would be in there, and it was, I remember when I was a kid, I went to a Miami, West Virginia game there, and it was one of the most exciting, nerve-wracking, terrifying sports atmospheres you're going to be in. They just haven't had that at Hard Rock. But I think you'll see the ghosts of the Orange Bowl go into there, because the fans will be excited.
Yeah, they will be. Now, whoever wins tonight, Indiana or Oregon, not or, they will be favored against Miami in the game next week for the national championship. If Indiana wins, they're 5.5-point picks, at least as of now. And then if Oregon wins, they'll be 2-point favorites to win at Miami. Miami has played games in Miami for national titles before. Back when it was the Orange Bowl, they had the famous win against what was unbeaten #1 Nebraska, 31-30. Eventually, Nebraska beat them there to win Osborne's first national title, but they have played games at home, and that's when you're in a bigger city like that also hosts Super Bowls and has big games. Stadiums like that are the ones they like to rotate for national championships and, of course, in the NFL for Super Bowls. Now, a couple of notes in the transfer portal. Yesterday, the report, we discussed as well, had the high school coach of DJ Lagway from Florida, Willis High School in Houston area. He committed to Baylor. There was a lot of consternation, anxiety, and I kind of felt it, meeting some reaching out to me that, well, he hasn't signed yet. I reached out to somebody that's within the DJ Lagway circle. He is, but I was told, locked in and has already started to recruit players to get to Baylor that he knows, or get them to at least visit Baylor. And I spoke with Sam Kahn about the timeline, the protocol of transfer portal. Sometimes, you can sign right away. Usually it does take a 24 to 48-hour window, but because of Minchie, Nebraska to Kentucky, and because as well of Damon Williams, who actually signed, and that story in a second, there's a little bit of wait a minute, because you never know, because there are big programs who are looking for quarterbacks
There's a lot more than a little bit now, based on the tweet we just got passed down as far as DJ Lagway goes. Pete Thamel saying in the last 5 minutes, according to sources, former Florida quarterback DJ Lagway is planning to continue to take visits before officially committing. He had a positive visit to Baylor earlier this week. One program that has consistently expressed interest is Ole Miss, and there's news on Ole Miss, but that goes, I don't know, against what you're saying or with what you're saying.
That's new, and that's the fear of, because Ole Miss, if you could have gotten that buttoned up before they finished their game, because Trinidad Chambliss is not going to get the waiver to play another year. And so that does open the door, and you just never know.
Man, that is just a kick right in the uprights for Baylor fans who were celebrating yesterday the big DJ Lagway get. And I think, now we'll wait and see with bated breath on what this actually looks like. But man alive, you thought this was wrapped up, and I guess it's not official till it's official, but just based on kind of the reporting around it, you thought, okay, cool, they got DJ Lagway, and bam, all right, on to the next thing. And we're talking about who he needs to surround himself with and what this means and everything. And now, this might all go up in smoke before it even gets started. So, Lagway planning to continue taking visits before officially committing. And that was one thing, this is what's happened too, is I'm going to sound old man, but I can't help it. But 10 years ago, guys would commit, and sometimes they would get their scoops broken by other reporters. But typically, the gentleman's thing to do was to wait for them to announce themselves, to let them have that attention. And then now more and more with more coverage, there's been more jumping to and announcing that these guys have been committed. And I think now the reporting sometimes is too far ahead of the actuality. And so clearly that's where, at least where we were to some point yesterday, because everybody thought he's committed to Baylor, and he clearly hasn't. And if you were looking for a reason to go, I don't know if that's totally true just yet, it's because we never did see anything official from him. So until you do, it's not officially official. So he hasn't officially committed. And so, he will, I guess, visit some schools. It doesn't clarify who, but it does mention that Ole Miss has consistently expressed interest, and now put that graphic up. And here's one big, massive reason why Ole Miss would express interest is because Trinidad Chambliss, we are awaiting word on his waiver, whether or not he would get another year, and he has been denied by the NCAA, so he is out of eligibility. That was his last college football game last night, fellas, and what a hell of a way to go out on your shield. But he's not going to be able to come back to Ole Miss, so now Ole Miss needs a quarterback.
Tom Mars, who has won a lot of these lawsuits, is representing him if he wants to continue with a lawsuit. But Ole Miss now has to kind of prepare as if they're, they may not win said lawsuit, which they may or may not. Or maybe Trinidad Chambliss just decides, he calls up the NFL and says, hey, after you've watched me the last month, what do you think? And they say, we think you should come here. I think that would be a good decision. Then maybe he goes there. But if you're Ole Miss, now they have our entertaining Deuce Knight on campus right now. He was a true freshman at Auburn last year, played in one game against Mercer, had a really good one. He appears that he's headed to Ole Miss, But even still, you've lost 2 quarterbacks. So you need to sign 2 quarterbacks. And if you have DJ Lagway, who's played, and Deuce Knight, who really hasn't, and you can get that 1-2 punch of somebody who's going to be there. And if he's really successful, DJ Lagway, whether it's Baylor or anywhere else, will likely be gone in a year and to the NFL, then you're going to go down all roads available to you. Plus, the musical chairs of quarterbacks have not all been filled yet because Miami, LSU, Oregon's still out there and several other places. And so you kind of have to wait for the music to stop playing. And that's where Baylor is with DJ Lagway right now. Obviously, they feel like they're in a good spot, but he's still going to go and take visits and see if he can maximize his opportunity for the last 2 years of eligibility he has, if he even plays them both.
Yeah, and I wonder, I mean, how smart is that if you're going to have 2 guys who are about the same age competing for the same job, and that inevitably is going to lead to one of them going back to the portal anyway. So,
well, you'd still have him for a year because there's only one portal.
Yeah, but I mean, one guy's not playing though. Like that's the point. Is like you're in the portal to go play somewhere. Why would you go somewhere where there's already another guy who's in the exact same situation as you? And I guess it would be, well, because you want to compete, and like that's great back when you could sit around. But both guys are in the portal because they weren't either happy where they were, there was a changeover, or they needed to move around to shake things up. So it just wouldn't make a lot of logical sense to go put yourself right back in a situation where you might not be playing right away. But I don't know. I don't know the details. Maybe the money or the opportunity or whatever is just bigger and something different than I'm simplifying it as. But yeah, that is obviously some nerve-wracking news if you're a Baylor fan, to see that come down. And on the Trinidad Chambliss waiver, the NCAA, it does make it sound like Ferris State was not cooperative as far as giving them some of the documentation that was necessary to try to make this decision. They had a lengthy report on statement, I guess, on why they did not clear Trinidad Chambliss. And it said approval requires schools to submit medical documentation provided by a treating physician at the time of a student's incapacitating injury or illness, which was not provided. The documents provided by Ole Miss and the student's prior school included a physician's note from 2022, which stated the student athlete was doing very well since he had been seen earlier in 2022. The previous school also indicated it had no documentation on medical treatment, no injury reports or medical conditions involving him during that time frame, and cited developmental needs and our team's competitive circumstances as the reason the student athlete did not play in 22-23. So it sounds like Ferris State kind of screwed Trinidad Chambliss out of a waiver. Now, if they're just saying, hey, this is what happened, then he didn't have the rights to it either. So there you go. And it reads more if you really want to get into the dirty details of it, but it's more or less explaining the specifics of denials and why all that works.
All right. We will have Robert Griffin III. He will join us. And then also today, Babe Laughenberg, who's a Cowboys analyst on the radio, former NFL quarterback, but played at Indiana. He'll join us too. And Montana State football coach Brent Vegan on their national championship from earlier this week. A lot to get to. Craig Smoak and Paul Catalina. I'm David Smoak, and this is 365 Sports. PettyClinicLowT.com. Dr. Ken Petty can help you become the high-performance man that you want to be, need to be, used to be, and it happens. 1 out of every 3 to 4 men. Father time takes over on 100% of all men, but when it comes to low testosterone and the level dropping, it can happen. Dr. Ken Petty can find out if you just don't feel right. You're sluggish. You're kind of lethargic. You're not, something's missing. Maybe even your sex drive or performance. That could be the issue too. So Dr. Petty wants to help you find out if that's the problem. You contact him, PettyClinicLowT.com, and he will set you up and his staff for you to get your blood done, give blood, and then they will check the levels and get back with you. If your testosterone level's fine, he'll tell you that too. If it is too low, give you an option and a program to increase your testosterone level so you can be the high-performance man that you want to be, used to be, and need to be with PettyClinicLowT.com.
As my go-to guy, can you fix my smartphone?
Yes.
Do you have car batteries?
Yeah.
What about golf cart batteries?
Of course.
Battery from a G-Fob?
Absolutely.
My boat?
Huge variety.
Toy boat?
Sure.
Motorcycles?
You bet.
My apartment building?
Whole building.
Do you have batteries for my party lights?
Yeah.
Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
It's time to start something new at Allen Samuels. Drive in with huge savings on all of our Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram vehicles. From a trail-conquering Jeep Grand Cherokee, towing in style with a Ram Heavy Duty, or cruising the city in a sporty and luxurious Ram 1500, we've got the perfect ride for you. Stop by Allen Samuels in Waco, where we make car buying easy.
Come by. Let's be friends.
Hello, I'm Camille Johnson with Camille Johnson Realtors. We specialize in selling residential real estate agent all across our community, and we love serving all types of families. We have been in business at Camille Johnson Realtors for almost 9 years, and I have been a residential real estate agent for almost 40 years. And we love our partnership with 365. So thank you for partnering with me, and thank you so much to all of my clients who have made our company a success.
Joint pain? How long do you got? I'm talking about my back, my elbow, and my shoulder. 24 years in the majors.
Roger the Rocket Clemens dominated the game, but even legends feel wear and tear.
I put my body through a lot for baseball. I didn't want more surgeries.
QC Kinetics regenerative treatments use your body's natural healing properties to help restore joints without surgery. And the results?
Pain is gone, I'm back, thanks to QC Kinetics.
Schedule your free consultation today. Better starts here.
Probably go another 3 innings.
You got batteries for my side-by-side?
Yes.
Replace my flashlight?
Sure thing. What about my business?
Oh, good one.
100%. Batteries for my fleet of trucks?
Got floor scrubbers?
Yes, and fire panels. We have pallets of batteries.
Well, what about...
As your go-to guy, if it needs a battery, we have it.
Well, that's all you had to say.
Could have led with that.
Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
This is 365 Sports.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
365 Sports on this Friday, and Heisman Trophy winning quarterback Robert Griffin III out of Baylor also joins us to start this last half hour of the 3 o'clock hour. RG3, Robert, thanks for your time. I sent you a note on a tweet from Pete Thamel about DJ Lagway. Appears as if he might take more visits after yesterday, the announcement about the commitment. Well, what do you think this might mean? And if you're Baylor, do you have a heartburn right now?
First of all, appreciate you guys having me on the show. Always a pleasure. You know, I love you guys. And
thank you.
I'll get right down to it. Bottom line is for DJ Lagway, and Baylor has to add more weapons. Bottom line. I think the visit to Ole Miss coincides with the fact that Trinidad Chambliss is not getting that 6th year, which makes it highly unlikely that he'll be able to come back even through an appeal. And who is one of the better, or if not the best quarterback in the transfer portal right now is DJ Lagway. And I can tell you, with confidence that I know the young man and his family love Baylor, believe in the system, the offensive system that Jake Spavital runs, to give him a really, exciting chance to not just rehabilitate his career, but also put him in a different stratosphere to truly show his ability. So if you're Baylor right now, you're doing everything you possibly can to get guys in the portal to understand that the playmaking positions of wide receiver and tight end, you have an opportunity to play with one of the best quarterbacks in the country in DJ Lagway, former 5-star. And that's going to be, I think, a real determining factor, depending on where DJ ultimately decides to sign on the dotted line. He's got to weigh all of his options. And it's just the name of the game and where we live at in college football in today's world. You saw with Damon Williams at Washington. You never know what's going to happen in the portal. So right now, I think that's where you're at. And if you're Baylor, you're doing everything you possibly can to put some weapons around the young man so he feels confident, knowing that he's stepping into a great situation, not just schematically, but also personnel-wise.
I was told earlier today, Robert, when I spoke with his high school coach at Willis, that one of the things that DJ was also trying to do, now that it appeared this was all locked up, was that he himself was looking to add people to visit and also join him at Baylor. So there's that, but at the same time, it is on Baylor to make sure that happens.
Yeah, I think, when it comes to the quarterback position and recruiting guys, you see it a lot in high school recruiting. One guy will commit, then he'll go talk to the other guys and get them to commit. And I think with the amount of cheese, cheddar, bread, moolah, whatever you want to call it, that's been flying around in college football recently, I think that is where now quarterbacks and players are more focused on, okay, I'm going to let the businessmen handle the business, and then I'm going to go attack the scheme. And I think, like I said, you guys know I love Baylor. Baylor will always be home for me. And I think that's more so the deciding factor of, if you do go on a visit to Ole Miss and you do get an opportunity to essentially plug and play with the majority of their skill talent coming back, knowing that they just made it to the college football playoff semifinal, and you drop in a talent like DJ Lagway, that can be enticing. And I think whenever you're in this full-fledged recruiting mode of what the transfer portal has become, you have to find ways to show that talent that this is where you should be. I think Baylor has done that in the sense of the scheme and the family fit and the legacy. And I think they just have to, I'll just come out and say it, Smoak. I think they got to get some receivers. They got to get some transfer portal receivers to come in and commit. And I think that changes the narrative. And all of that can change here in an hour, 2 hours, 24 hours. But sooner or later, that has to switch over, because it's not the quarterback's job, especially a young man who's not quite an NFL player. And I know a lot of people say, hey, these college players are like NFL players now. They're all pros. It's not their job to recruit. It's their job to go play. So we got to get to recruiting.
Robert, they have hosted 5, from what I've been told, about wide receivers in portal visits so far. But they only have like 3 touchdowns coming back in that room from last year. You didn't sell DJ Lagway on that. So yes, they absolutely need to do that. Where would you take in the part of Dave Aranda's very tenuous position this season as the Baylor coach, and how much success he needs without that family legacy piece? Are they even in the room with DJ Lagway?
Yeah, I think when you look at it from that standpoint, anyone that's watching and that has eyes and that knows football understands the position that Coach Aranda is in, and then also the position that Baylor's in. So any quarterback that comes in has to be confident that not only can he come in and perform, not only can he operate in Jake Spavital's, high octane, high volume passing offense, but that he has the confidence that he can come in and save Dave Aranda's job. And I think that's why, if you're Baylor, you go after a DJ Lagway, because not only does he bring goodwill, but he brings the fact that other people are going to want to play with him. Former 5-star with the legacy and all of that. So I don't think that is a secret. I think a lot of recruits understand that side of it. And you're going to find your go-getters who believe they are the solution to the problem, and they'll go and make it happen. I do believe that DJ Lagway believes he is the solution to the problem. And I just think that when you know you're the solution, especially at quarterback in today's game, no matter what level you play at, high school, college, or the NFL, you have to have weapons around you. So Robert, I think that's ultimately what it boils down to. You spent a lot of time with him on your podcast that you and your wife do that has had some amazing guests. You've gotten to know the man. You're down in that area quite a bit. You know Derek from his time at Baylor as well. Kind of give us an idea of what you know about him, DJ. No matter what kind of character he has, this is a business, as you've said. Yeah. I think when it comes to DJ, DJ Lagway, the player, I don't think he's focused on the money at all, personally. I think that the young man he's allowing the team that he has built around him to help him make the right decision on where he should go, and he's focused fully on ball. And I know on good authority that he loves Baylor. He loves the Baylor offense. And I think that is the discussion that's going on right now of, does the offense work with the current players that they have on the roster? And I think Baylor also realizes that. You mentioned it. Only 3 touchdowns coming back. I believe if they had the receiving core that they had this past season, DJ would have already probably signed on the dotted line. So now it's about who in the portal can you go get, the guys that you had visited, the guys that you're talking to that are willing to come and commit to play and be a Baylor Bear. And it's a tough spot to be in. But from a standpoint of the young man himself, I don't think he is focused on the money. He is focused on how does he develop the best and what's the best situation for him in that regard.
Robert, how would you have approached the NIL situation if it had been around when you were a college quarterback?
I've had this conversation a bunch. I think God, it worked out the way it was supposed to for me and during my time. And, I wouldn't change that side of it for anything as far as being at Baylor and being able to build and winning a Heisman Trophy, and really, making people stop confusing BU with Boston University. But I think I've told this story, and I think you remember this story of my freshman year at Baylor in 2008. We went and we played against the Texas Longhorns, and Mac Brown met me at middle of the field after the game. He said, "Man, we really messed it up by not recruiting you, didn't we?" And I kind of looked at him, smirked. We lost the game, so I wasn't really in a great mood. But he said, "You can transfer to Texas anytime you want. We'll take you." Now imagine back then if that would have happened in 2008 and the transfer portal was what it is today, and you're a freshman All-American and Texas comes out and they say, "We're going to give you $6 million. We'll give you $6 million to transfer right now." Well, I don't know what I would have done, but I know there's a lot of people in my family and in my circle that probably would have been saying, "Hey, you should probably go." And what I want the guys today to realize is the importance of having a home is way more important than $50,000 extra dollars. A place that you can go back and say, "This is my alma mater." But if you go play for 4 different schools, you're not going to have anywhere to go when it's all said and done. Football's not going to be there forever. So your legacy is really built through the school that you go to in those relationships, and they can take care of you for life. So when I look at DJ Lagway and I say, all right, your dad is a legacy here. You have an opportunity to come back and, leave Florida where you made a boatload of money, and this might be the best situation for you. Make the decision that's best for you for the long term, maybe not the one that has the most zeros behind the offer. But for me and in my situation, it's hard to reflect because my life has turned out so beautifully because of God and because of Baylor University. So I wouldn't take it back for anything.
Yeah, Robert, I actually just saw Quinn Ewer's interview last week, and he was asked about why he didn't chase money after Texas since he had another year left, and he said because of the relationships. He'd always wanted to be a Longhorn, and he didn't want to go off and be something else, and so that's why he stayed. But it is – I know you guys get asked about this, you old Baylor quarterbacks, but, man, how much money would have been thrown at Seth Russell when he was sitting there – on the bench, or Bryce Petty. And I know Bryce has told us, well, I would have stayed, but he also has no idea what might have been thrown his way either. But, I think there is that part of it.
All right, let's keep it 100%.
Yeah.
Bryce Petty would not have stayed. Okay. Yeah. Bryce Petty sat behind me for a year, sat behind Nick Florence for a year. He would not have stayed. He would have been gone. Yeah. I love Bryce, and I appreciate him saying that, but no, he'd have been gone.
Yeah, it's a different animal. We don't know until we're put in that position. And none of us here doing the show would have ever been in that position. Robert Griffin III with us, Heisman Trophy winner. Also, Fox Sports wrapped up his first year broadcasting college football back on the air, which was also great to see.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. And Robert, part of the reason this Lagway issue is creeping up is because Ole Miss needs a quarterback now because Trinidad Chambliss has had his waiver denied, and just wanted to get your thoughts on last night, his swan song and just an excellent playoff game, and the Hurricanes moving on to go play for a national title. Your thoughts on how it all unfolded?
Yeah, one, I just think that the bigger picture of college football and why I believe expansion is going to happen sooner than later is because Miami was the last team into the college football playoff, and now they're headed to the national championship game. So it's really the beauty of the playoff. Yeah, third place ACC team with Ole Miss didn't play in the conference championship game. You got a third place team in Miami from the ACC, didn't play in the conference championship game. And somehow those two teams made it to the final. College football has become so much more closer and reminiscent of college basketball in recent years, especially with the playoff expansion. I see it getting to 16 teams. I also see it actually ballooning up and getting to 24 at some point. But especially with this game, I think it's safe to say that the U is back, and the swagger that they play with, how dominant they can be on defense. I know it didn't show up in spades last night like it had all year, but that's what happens when you have such a special quarterback in Trinidad Chambliss and a really good running back in Kewan Lacey. Trinidad showed up in the big moments. I think what Trinidad does best is he doesn't try to play quarterback. He just tries to play football. You know what I mean? And I talk to quarterbacks about that a lot because they're like, "No, man, I'm a pocket guy." And I'm like, well, guess what? How many pocket guys are in the NFL right now? Not a lot. You know why? Because being a pocket guy is very hard to do. And if you can have an added element of using your feet, not necessarily to run a 900-meter dash like I could back when I was playing, but to just be effective with your feet, to create, to show mobility, to make off-schedule plays, to when the call's not perfect, bail out your team, bail out your offensive coordinator. That's what they're looking for. And that's what Trinidad Chambliss did. He had that massive scramble late in the game that put them in position to go score the go-ahead touchdown. So I think his swan song was something really, really sensational. And I honestly don't understand why he's trying to go back to college. I understand the payday, but with the quarterback class looking the way it is, he could easily be a first-round pick. And really has set himself up to be extremely successful.
And part of this is he kind of started this process before all that came around too. So I guess seeing it through was the right thing to do. Robert, just want a broadcasting question for you. You got to work with who I think is one of the absolute best in the business this year in Jason Benetti. What was that like? It's always difficult, like starting with a new broadcast partner, but you guys seem to hit it off really well. And he is just so super talented.
Yeah, Jason Benetti's the best, man. And, we both have similar ambition in the fact that not only do we want to be the best, but we believe that our pathway to get there is together, could be together, and we're not going to accept anything less than that. So, getting paired with him, I knew from the second we had our first meeting. Producer, comes to us and he's like, "Hey guys, let's think about calling a game before the season starts. We'll get on the Zoom and we'll go through it and we'll figure out like timing and cadence and all this stuff." And me and Jason kind of looked at each other on the screen, kind of like that weird eye contact. Like, is he looking at me? I think he's looking at me. I'm looking at him. And we both looked and Jason said, "Nah, I think we're good." And I knew from that moment on that we were going to be great. Because what Jason does so well is he calls the game in front of him. And he doesn't come into a game with a narrative that he's trying to push on the audience. He's going to capture all of the big elements and what this means and what that means. And he's going to make the environment sing, but he's going to call the game in front of him. And I said this earlier this week when it came out that he could potentially be the lead voice for baseball for NBC. I think he deserves everything he gets. He made me better this year. We felt like we were the best crew in college football calling games. And it's because we know how to make it fun. We also know how to educate. And I think that's what Jason Benetti excels at. And it's been a pleasure to work with him. When you go from a place like ESPN to Fox Sports, you don't know what to expect. You hear all these things. You don't know what it is. But he accepted me with open arms and was thrilled to be working with me. And that to me was just a sign of his leadership and the person that he is. So I can't say enough good things about Jason Benetti. I just hope I don't lose him. A lot of networks are sharing talent right now. I just hope I hope he gets that number one baseball job at NBC if that's what he wants. Of course, Fox would have to allow it, and maybe there's something else in the works for him at Fox. I have no idea. But the bottom line is I love working with the guy, and I'm hoping that he gets everything that he wants.
Robert, there have been times in your life when you had something and then lost it, well, at Baylor when you had the injury, then at Washington when you had the injury, and then all of a sudden no longer a part of ESPN. Does that make you even more thirsty? No, maybe not. Does that even bring more passion into you to get back to what you love to do?
Yeah, you find your passions when it's funny when they're taken away from you. They always say this, like, hey, when you like somebody, like, hey, if it's real love, then you guys will end up together, right? I'm a hopeless romantic, so I love those shows and I love those sayings. But the bottom line is, when I was out of the NFL in 2017, I knew I loved football because I continued to work. And it didn't matter whether a workout came or a contract came, I was ready to go. When my number was called in 2018, I was ready to go, and I was able to go and be a great mentor for Lamar Jackson and, prolong my career when many people thought that it was over. So when I had that injury in 2009 at Baylor, I thought my career was over. And, you continue to work, you come back better, and we won a Heisman Trophy 2 years later. So my story of resilience and facing adversity and coming out the other side greater has prepared me for all these moments in life. So when you're riding the high and you're on Monday Night Countdown on ESPN and you're calling big time college football games, and then all of a sudden, for no apparent reason, they chop your knees off, you look at it and you say, okay, well, what is God trying to show me here? And I learned that in my year away from TV, just how simple this thing can be and how it can be so much more enjoyable. And I think that perspective shift for me has made this first year at Fox Sports such a rewarding experience. And, got a chance to call my first NFL game with my guy, Jason Benetti. So that was also very special, and looking to continue to build there and do bigger and greater things. Because at the end of the day, I just love football, man. And I love having fun, putting a smile on people's faces and having a good time. So it's all been a part of God's plan for me, and I'm going to continue to walk in it and continue to grow our IP, from the podcast to social media to being on broadcast television. It's been a blessing, and I hope everybody in Texas, Central Texas especially, and our Baylor family continues to grow and follow with us along the ride.
Robert, we have not talked about this, but you did post the picture of you and DJ Lagway when he was just a wee lad. I do have a couple questions about this.
We got it on the screen right now.
We've got it on the screen right now. I know you know the picture because you posted it, but this was very early on in your hair journey. It was, I remember. And DJ definitely looks like Derek kind of said, go take this picture with this guy. You'll appreciate it later.
It's funny. I got a story about that because the first time I saw that picture was a few years ago. DJ Lagway was a freshman in high school, actually an 8th grader going to be a freshman in high school. And he sent me that picture on Twitter. And I saw the picture and I'm like, okay, what's up? He's like, hey, Mr. Griffin, would you mind taking a look at my huddle tape? I'm an 8th grader, getting ready to go to high school at Willis High School. And I'd love if you could be my mentor. And, I get a lot of those messages from time to time, and some I see, some I don't. But when I saw the picture, and then I obviously looked up his dad and knew who his dad was and the legacy at Baylor, I took that personal and I said, you know what? I'm gonna make sure I do the right thing here and try to give this kid as much wisdom I possibly can. And I saw him throw 8 touchdowns in a game at Willis High School. And listen, guys, I never threw 8 touchdowns in a game. All right. He threw more touchdowns in like maybe a 6-game span than I threw my entire high school career. So it was just, to me, him committing to Baylor felt like a full circle moment coming back home. I'm really proud of the man that he is, the young man that he is. He's respectful. He honors God, and he does it the right way. So I'm just super excited for him. I hope it does work out with him going to Baylor. I think that would be a big, shot in the arm for the program. And I think it would be best for him. But at the end of the day, there's a lot more chefs in the kitchen than just the players nowadays.
Yeah, it's a great picture. It really is. By the way, I sent Pete Thamel's tweet to somebody that I know within the Lagway camp, and you know a lot of them. In fact, you know DJ very well. And they're saying, I wouldn't put a lot of stock in that post. He's been on the phone, DJ, all day trying to help build Baylor's roster. Now, that's just a response. That doesn't mean that there won't be another trip or whatever. But I wanted to update you on what I got just a few minutes ago.
You want another update? I'll give you another update. All right, guys. We can do a breaking news here on the show. You guys want to break news? Let's break some
Absolutely.
News. So, this visit with Ole Miss was already set. So it's not like Trinidad got denied his waiver and DJ had committed to Baylor. This was already on the schedule beforehand. So in many ways, DJ and his representation, they're having to honor the commitments that they made. And you don't ever want to spurn anybody. And I'm not saying that's why they're going on it. And I'm not saying it's for shits and giggles. This is real. And anytime you go somewhere else, it can become real fast. But I don't want to say people don't worry about it. What I will say is that it's a different world we exist in right now. And you don't want to burn any bridges. So there's a lot of that going on right now. And, hey, he could sign with Ole Miss. He could sign with Baylor. At the end of the day, the school that shows him that it's going to be the best environment for him is the one he's going to sign on the dotted line with.
We do appreciate it, buddy. Good to have you on. If you ever get back into Waco, let us know. We want to bring you our studio, let you say hi to what we do here with 365 Sports. Anytime we can get you on the show, it's great. Thank you, buddy.
You got it. Appreciate you guys. God bless.
Robert Griffin III. 2011 won the Heisman Trophy, number 2 pick in the draft that year in the NFL, had that spectacular rookie year, Washington, Baltimore, Cleveland, etc., and now a part of Fox Sports, and appreciate the timing of having him on today. And what he said was that the trip DJ Lagway has to Ole Miss was already on the schedule. That doesn't mean you can't have anxiety. That doesn't mean you can't go, well, what the hell? If you are committed, you're committed. It's part of that game, as he mentioned, but at least we appreciate that update from him.
Yeah, it sounds like Baylor needs some wide receivers. That's what it sounds like, and I don't blame him for looking around and going, all right, what do you have around me? Well, Dawson Pendergrass coming off of an injury. Oh, well, was he like a Heisman winner before that? No, he was the number 2 running back and a complimentary guy. Okay, how about wide receiver and tight end? We got some freshmen that are now sophomores who have redshirted that are talented and were highly ranked. What have they done so far? Not much. And then you look at Ole Miss and you go, here's Kawan Lacey, right out of the gate. Here's Lacey. Just hand the ball off to him. What a beast he is. And so, yeah, I can understand that when you're in this position, you're going to put yourself in the best position. And as a quarterback, you need to have guys around you. So that's a valid concern. And we'll see how Baylor is able to ease his concerns or answer those concerns. It sounds like they're scrambling to do that right now. Would have been a great year to have the class they got last year receiver-wise because they were absolutely loaded, but they lost all of those guys this offseason. So, we'll see how this works out. I think Baylor fans have every right to feel however they want to feel about this. And I'm sure that for a lot of them, it's anxiety and just like a here we go again. And with the way things have gone the last couple of years, I don't blame them for feeling that way. But we'll see where pen goes to paper and what that looks like here in the coming days, I suppose.
Yeah, I looked it up today because I've been having a Twitter conversation with a Baylor fan who thought I was selling the current wide receivers that they have in the room short. But my point being is that they didn't sell DJ Lagway on coming to Baylor with what they have. It's what they think they can get because they had 31 touchdowns receiving last year. 27 of them are out the door.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they lost Josh Cameron, Michael Trigg, Ashton Hawkins, Kobe Prentice, I believe, was a senior as well.
Is Kobe Wilson back?
Cole Wilson, you mean? No, he was a senior.
All seniors.
Yeah. Senior. So, I mean, yeah, that's your top. I didn't even mention Michael Trigg at tight end, who really was your best receiver, who, if you want to say, well, he doesn't count, you still lose your top 4 to 5. So, yeah, your top receivers last year, Cameron, 872 and 9 touchdowns, gone. Trigg, 694 and 6 touchdowns, gone. Ashton Hawkins, no touchdowns, 621 yards, gone. Cole Wilson, 591 and 5 scores, gone. Kobe Prentice, 380 and 6 scores, gone. And then you know who your next guys are? Caden Knighton, a running back.
Mm-hmm. Also coming off an injury.
Bryson Washington, who's gone.
Yeah.
And then you have like your young guys basically, and maybe a scattering of like Kelsey Johnson's gone right now as well. Like he didn't have a touchdown last year, but they're all gone basically. That's what you're looking at if you're Lagway going, the money sounds good, the living situation sounds great, the coaching sounds cool, but like who am I throwing to?
The touchdowns they have coming back are Caden Knighton had 1 receiving touchdown. Matthew Kloffenstein, the third tight end, had 1 receiving touchdown. Jaden Porter had 1 receiving touchdown. And Lewis Brown, who only played in the first 3 games, had 1 receiving touchdown.
And he was also a senior, so I don't know what his status is because, we didn't see much of him after a while, but he was a transfer last year. So it's a valid concern. If you're going out to make the best decision for yourself, you're going to make sure that every box is checked. And I don't know. I haven't gone and looked at Ole Miss's wide receiving core. The whole Deuce Knight thing and like them trying to two-for it, I still don't see why that would make any sense for anybody involved in that other than Ole Miss. But
at least those 2 guys in particular that both think they should be starting.
Yes.
If you get one of them and then a guy who's like a Mitch Griffiths like Tech did last year, who is there to be a backup piece, or what Arizona State's doing with Cutter Boley and Mikey Keene, like that to me makes sense. But I would think that Deuce Knight, a 5-star quarterback, just leaving the program because it's not the one that he went to, who played 1 game and, yes, it was Mercer, but cut him up for 400 yards, thinks he's ready to go.
Yeah, and I don't know on the Knight Lagway thing if like they're actually trying to get both or if it's one or the other and whoever commits first type of thing. I don't know. I don't want to start talking out of school here, but this is a little bit of a curveball after what was basically a celebration yesterday that we haven't seen the likes of in a really long time. And now it's, back to anxiety mode, which you should be very familiar with, I think, as a Baylor fan at this point. Man, what a kick in the gut, but we'll see if they can't recover from it. And if not, then that itself is a story. And then we'll start talking about Dylan Raiola coming to Waco, I suppose.
Yeah, it's moving parts. Robert also reiterated the fact that in this day and age of college football, man, the Trinidad Chambliss waiver being denied, other big schools having openings, even with Ole Miss having Deuce Knight, you need to get your name on a piece of paper and sign it. Some of you are saying, well, he just needs to sign. Don't shoot the messenger, but I get what you're saying. I get the emotions of where you are.
They're right, and eventually we'll get to a conversation about contracts and signings when we finally talk about Damon Williams and how that all resolved itself last night, seemingly. But, pen to paper is where it should be solved. That hasn't happened yet, and so Lagway continues to look at his options, and that quarterback carousel keeps spinning. And if I'm Dave Aranda and Baylor, I sure as hell hope I've done the due diligence on what your backup option would be. You're still going all in on Lagway and do everything you can to land him. But if you have to pivot because Ole Miss just blows him away and says, look how successful, then you better be ready to pull the trigger on somebody else because the pickings are getting real slim.
Yeah, no, you're right. And I get the frustration. I get the emotions, and you should feel that way. I don't think there's a program anymore in college football, even the bluest of blue bloods, that can just say, we got him, we're locked in. You all have to watch your back. Coming up, Babe Laughenberg, former Indiana quarterback, voice of the Cowboys. He's next with us, and this is 365 Sports. Alan Samuels, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. I got some new incentives fresh off basically my text message that I received from Ted Teague, who sent this out to me. Right now, Alan Samuels unleashing monster savings, brand new 2025 Jeep Wrangler Sahara, a massive $9,000 off. Grab a battle-ready 2025 Jeep Gladiator Rubicon with $12,000 off MSRP. If you want power and luxury, the fully loaded 2025 Ram 3/4 ton limited, slashed by a whopping $14,000. And these are the deals, bold, aggressive, and also, if you're not there in time, disappearing very quickly. 2026 Ram 1500 Laramie Crew Cab, $12,000 off MSRP, or choose 0% financing plus $7,500 off. Premium comfort, commanding power, undeniable value. in one unstoppable and always award-winning truck. Alan Samuels, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. They also have a 2025, the Ram 1500s right now, 3.9% financing. If you qualify, plus 10% off MSRP, even extra dealer discounts depending on the truck you choose. Alan Samuels with David Gray running the entire sales department. Ted Teague, the general manager, CEO. Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco.
Bold are the adventurous. Determined are the leaders. Faithful are the healers. At Baylor, you'll find your calling, your people, and your purpose. Dare to be you, indeed.
With over 25 years of excellence in IT, Carrion Solutions is your trusted technology partner. From managed IT services to cutting-edge cybersecurity, our expert team delivers tailored solutions that drive success. Our portfolio includes products such as Veeam, Bitdefender, Microsoft, Cisco, and Fortinet. Call David Carrion and his team of experts. Call 888-522-2221 or visit us at carrionsolutions.com.
At BK Ford, we step onto the field every day for our customers. Here, legends are born and glory is earned. The spirit of competition unites us all as we stand as one. It's more than a truck, it's a passion. Get ready for the thrill, the triumphs, and the unforgettable moments that only BK Ford can deliver. Are you ready to experience better? BK Ford.
Hello, I'm Camille Johnson with Camille Johnson Realtors. We specialize in selling residential real estate agent all across our community, and we love serving all types of families. We have been in business at Camille Johnson Realtors for almost 9 years, and I have been a residential real estate agent for almost 40 years. And we love our partnership with 365. So thank you for partnering with me, and thank you so much to all of my clients who have made our company a success.
Established in 2007 and independently owned, Alliance Bank Central Texas is committed to helping families and businesses meet their financial goals. From their tellers to their board of directors, they know the importance of superior service and competitive products. Customers have confidence knowing that their financial needs are in good hands. It's your bank, Alliance Bank Central Texas, with 2 Waco locations, 4721 Bosque Boulevard and 191 Archway Drive on Highway 84, and at alliancebanktexas.com. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
This is 365 Sports.
I don't know. In fact, there's nobody that does and analyzes college or football, the NFL better. Cowboys color analyst Babe Laughenberg, former NFL quarterback. And I love saying this, Babe, former Indiana quarterback. We've said that to you before, and then we just kind of like washed right through it.
Look, ignored by the Heisman Committee.
Yes.
Clearly, not like now. Had social media been around in Babe's day, he would have been the second Heisman Trophy winner, Fernando Mendoza.
Yeah.
Love it. No question. It takes on a different meaning when you say, I've always been introduced maybe as, hey, played for Indiana, quarterback for Lee Corso. And now it's like, and this guy was a quarterback at the number 1 ranked team in the nation who's about to win a national championship in about 10 days.
What has this been like for you? We know what the fan base is going crazy. They're buying everything. They're going to all the games. They'll be heavily involved in Atlanta and elsewhere. What does this mean for someone like yourself who played there?
Oh, it's great for anybody that ever played there, really, because as I said, a number of times, people say, well, act like you've been there before. And I was like, no, well, we haven't been there before, you know? So I don't know how to act, but it's been so much fun. And a lot of focus has been obviously put on Indiana football. And I'll be honest with you, until I saw all the stats and the stuff that's been coming up with the losingest, program and NCAA history. Now, part of it, they've been playing football a long time there, but I thought it was like kind of okay. I know it wasn't great, but so it's great that they're in the center of things. They've got their first Heisman Trophy winner, Cignetti. What can you say about that guy? He's been awesome. And I love the fact that he's staying. Obviously a lot of these coaches, they go off to what they consider to be greener pastures. But I think there was a big part of Curt Cignetti that said, hey, this was the school that gave me my chance at 61 years old. And I'm not going to abandon him now. So, and he's got a pretty good program going there, obviously.
Babe, it's such a different ball game in college football right now where infrastructure is so important. And Indiana clearly kind of had that when they hired Curt Cignetti. None of us knew it because they're Indiana, right, but he was the missing piece of the puzzle. How much was it a relief as an Indiana alum and a grad, because they had been adrift not only in football but in even basketball for a while?
Yeah, I don't care about basketball. Okay, just let's go on the record. Okay, I mean,
yeah.
No, I mean I kind of do, but no, the football thing has been fun. And what's funny is any of these programs, once you turn the corner, and obviously it's a whole different ball game over the last couple of years with the collective and NIL and transfer portal and all that stuff. But Oregon was terrible for years and years and years. They're not anymore, obviously. Florida State, before, you got to go way back, but before Bobby Bowden got to Florida State was a terrible program for decades. And I think once you flip it a little bit, obviously they're going to get to recruit better players there at Indiana now. So I think everything has changed. And the one misnomer too, I got to tell you, people acted, you see some of the stuff and they acted like it was MCI games where only friends and family were at the games. I mean, Ohio State came in, we have 50,000, 55,000 people there. That's all it holds. I was wondering too, if they're going to be doing the SEC deal where you build it up to 100,000. You got to be careful about that because all of a sudden, you're not that powerhouse and you got half empty seats, but it's been a blast. And you know what else is funny, guys? Very quickly, after games, I mean, when I was there playing in the NFL or whatnot, you see after games, you go across the field, you go shake hands with your buddies, guys you played with in college. Well, I'd go across the field and I'd be like, oh crap, there's nobody plays in the NFL that was at Indiana with me. So, yeah. Now, we didn't have the jersey swap or anything, but you go across, everybody else is, the USC guys, there's 10 guys on the field hugging and, hey, good to see you again. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'll just go to the locker room.
Yeah, that's about to change. There's about to be a lot of Hoosiers that are dapping each other up and trading jerseys of the NFL. And that actually brings me to my question, Babe. You mentioned Mendoza and the Heisman. You and Nate Sudfeld, I came across this, were the only two Hoosiers quarterbacks to ever be selected in the first 200 picks in the NFL draft. You went 168. Nate Sudfeld went 187. Fernando Mendoza's looking like he's going number one overall as it stands right now. What jumps out to you when you watch him, and what do you like about his game? What translates to the next level, and why is this all working so well for him and the Hoosiers?
Let me just backtrack for a minute there. You're saying only Nate Sudfeld and I were taken as quarterbacks?
Yes. Yeah.
I did not know. I mean, because Antron Randall, great college player.
Right.
Obviously, he transitioned to wide receiver. Trent Green? No? I mean, he was there.
Yeah, I'll have to check.
I mean, I trust you, though.
Yeah.
He might have been like a 10th rounder or something.
Yeah, I got that from Yahoo, so we'll see.
Yeah,
I'll double check on that.
Trent
so we have
Green,
had a couple quarterbacks.
8th round, Trent Green.
8th round. Wow.
222 overall.
Yeah.
So
wow.
You wasted Trent Green.
I love it. Well, it's funny with the draft thing. So I have a little draft party for my son's friends, and long and short. When they were younger, especially, they'd say, Mr. Laughenberg, when were you drafted? And I would just say, I was a first day draft pick. And they said, "Oh, you were a first rounder." I didn't tell them there were 6 rounds on day 1 and 6 rounds on day 2. And I was a 6th rounder. I didn't lie to them, right? I was a first day draft pick. I just failed to mention that it went 6 rounds, back when I was getting drafted. But no, it's been great. Mendoza, he'll be interesting. He makes a lot of plays with his legs, as you guys have seen, but he's not a Lamar Jackson type runner. But when something's there, he 3rd and 5, he'll get you 7, 8, 10 yards, and very accurate passer. We all see that. So he's gonna be an interesting pro prospect because he's not the guy you look at like a Josh Allen or one of these big physical, just do everything guys. But he appears to be so smart, takes care of the football. I mean, he's going to make somebody a pretty good quarterback. I'm assuming it'll be the Raiders since they have the number 1 pick in the draft and they don't have a quarterback. And the funny thing is too, with Tom Brady being with the Raiders in that ownership position and obviously having a lot of influence in the organization as he should, I can see him seeing a lot of Tom Brady in Mendoza. This guy that's just smart, takes care of the football, he's accurate, maybe doesn't wow you with the athletic prowess, but I could see Brady saying, "Hey, I've seen a guy succeed just like this, and his name was Tom Brady."
Yeah. Is Cignetti now a quarterback whisperer?
Well, he is this year, isn't he? And what they have done, I've said this a million times. I don't watch all college football because obviously, Cowboys are traveling on a Saturday, whatever. But I do try to watch as much as I can. But I have seen a lot of Indiana, obviously, and I will say that is the best coached team at any level of football. You watch them; they do not make mistakes. They do not do dumb things. They don't turn it over. Hey, the game against Alabama, right? And has Alabama dropped a little from what they were? Yes. Are they still a great football team? Yes. They had 1 penalty. They had 0 turnovers. Indiana did. They had 11 penalties on defense all season long. I mean, that goes to your coaching. And the funny thing is, and I've said this a number of times, but how did all these schools that hire sometimes incompetent head coaches, how did they all miss on Curt Cignetti?
You know why, Babe? Because there are too many teams that are trying to win day 1. They want to win the press conference. They want to be on social media. They want buzz. And that sometimes takes away from substance, because to go back to your point about Curt Cignetti, the shortcut he took was not necessarily just the transfer portal. It was his basic scheme is you don't commit penalties, you don't turn the ball over, and if you have good athletes, then that's going to make for a team that wins. So I think the glory and the simplicity of Curt Cignetti is really what most people miss, because you don't see that sometimes, and I'm sure you've seen it, coaches that just overcomplicate things all the time, right?
Oh yeah, but the funny thing is every coach, I mean, I don't know who the Cowboys are going to hire as a defensive coordinator, okay? But I can guarantee you when they have that press conference, he says, we're going to be a multiple attacking defense, right? So every coach preaches the same thing. Hey, don't turn it over, be smart, all that. So why did Curt Cignetti, and this is kind of a rhetorical question, or how did Curt Cignetti's message get across to everywhere he's coached? And some of these other coaches who preach the same thing, their teams don't play the way his teams do.
It's got to be in the way they prepare, right?
Oh, and you know what's interesting too? He has very short practices.
Yeah.
His practices are an hour 35 to an hour and 45. It doesn't go over an hour and 45. So you might think, remember the Dick Vermeil days?
Oh, yeah.
3.5 hour practices and all that. Now, of course, you're limited in college football as to how many hours you can be on the field and all that. But all that tells you is for a team to be that well coached, their practices, how efficient are their practices when he doesn't believe in keeping the guys out there for 2.5 hours?
I heard him say as well, Babe, that his coaches don't have to spend like to the midnight oil, that if they get their work done at 7, go.
That's exactly right.
They don't get in at 4. They get in at 7. And he expects them when they're there, they work their asses off. But they don't have to do that grind just because that's the way it's supposed to be.
Yep. And I call them parking lot coaches. You know, the head coach looks out in the parking lot. He wants to see who's the first one to be there in the parking lot and who's the last one to leave. Who cares? If you come in at 5 a.m. and then take a nap for 2 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I always said, just, you know, when I was at CBS 11, anchoring there for 17 years, I said, your work day's over when the work's done.
Yes.
And what that means is if you come in and in 4 hours you're finished, go, leave, you know, because we're going to have 12, 14-hour days. But if you say, hey, I put in my 8 hours, but I said, well, wait a minute, you're not finished. And I think that's kind of his message. Come in, get your work done. When you're finished, don't feel like you got to hang around here just to prove that you're working hard. And as you guys know, coaches, they don't want to tell you that they're working harder than the guy next to them.
No.
Right? They take pride in being there for 16 hours.
The total number of
even though they only may be working for 8 of the 16, say, hey, I put in 16-hour days. It's like, yeah, but you worked out. You go get coffee for 45 minutes. So I kind of laugh at that a little. Now, let me just say, it is a tough profession. You put in a lot of hours, but I am a firm believer, get your work done and get out, no matter the business.
4 teams. Indiana's 4th in the country with total penalties. 2 of the teams in front of them are military academies, and the other one is Wisconsin. So there's another example.
Let me just say, Smoak, I love the academies because every year they are a top 10 in terms of the least penalized teams. Mm-hmm. I did an Army game. Army played UNT. They closed out Fouts Field. It was the last game at Fouts Field, so I did the TV for that. Anyway, Army did not have a penalty. Did not have a penalty. Now, do you think those guys in military academies are going to sit there and go, "Oh man, I thought it was on 2." Oh, I thought it was on 2. I left on 1. Shoot. No, these are guys that, hey, they're taking the shot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sniper fire. They don't say, okay, are we going to say 1, 2, 3 shoots, or are we going to shoot on 3? So I loved it though. Army comes in, not a single penalty, and it wasn't even like you wanted to say, hey, how did they miss that one?
Mm-hmm.
They're disciplined, and that's Indiana.
Navy was rebellious this year. They had 47th, ranked 47th in penalty. That's why they're so damn good, by the way. They won 11 games or so, but that's the rarity. They're usually the top 5.
Well, to get those guys off my ships, then make sure that they're in lane.
Were they really 47?
Army was 1, Air Force was 2, and Navy was 47th. Those, oh my goodness, they're just that. Wow. They need to put them overboard. They need to put them overboard.
I may have to install some machine guns on my little sailboat or something to defend ourselves.
Babe, I do want to ask you a quick Cowboys question while we have you here. Yeah. They are looking for a new defensive coordinator, and at the press conference the other day, which is always the wrap-up press conference is always, to me, the most interesting one of every year. But one of the things that Brian Schottenheimer said was that they were definitely going to probably look for some new, I don't know how he put, like new blood or new ideas, which like fans will be like, go hire Brian Flores, or go like, is Dick LeBeau still around? Can we get him? Like all those things. Brian Schottenheimer doesn't really operate that way. He likes younger or different guys. Do you expect to see that truly be one of the people that's in there is somebody who's very fresh faced when it comes to coordinator?
I honestly don't know. I have no real feel, and kind of a little bit obviously depends on who's available, who's able to get out of a contract, or whatever the case may be. But let me just say this: Vic Fangio is the oldest defensive coordinator in the NFL, and if you told me we can get Vic Fangio, I would say jump on it. So Jim Schwartz at Cleveland. Now Cleveland was a bad football team, but they were a bad offense. Their defense was great. And when you look at their defense, Cleveland, with the fact that you're not scoring any points, the pressure's on you all. It's a lot of 3 and outs for your offense, and you're on the field all day. And for them to play the way they did, and Jim Schwartz is like 62 or 63. So I always hate the notion that you hear, well, the game has passed this guy by. It doesn't pass these guys by. If they're in it, they see the trends every year, and they adjust and they adapt, and they come up with new ways to beat you. And again, we saw what Vic Fangio did in the Super Bowl to Patrick Mahomes last year. I mean, just destroyed him, and he's 66 years old or whatever. So I don't need a 24-year-old to say, "Oh, we got some fresh ideas." I want a guy to come in and say, "I've been doing this for 40 years, and trust me, this works."
Babe Laughenberg with us, 365 Sports, and yet another year goes by, Babe. 30. Could you? And some listen. A lot of franchises have long droughts, but 30 since winning 3 out of 4, and we can discuss all the different reasons, and maybe they've wasted time of Tony Romo when he was there and got him for a lot less money, or Dak or whatever. He's not getting less money, but. Right. Is it mind-boggling, or just sometimes it can happen?
It's mind-boggling in the sense that, how do you go 30 years without getting to the NFC Championship game? We're obviously not even talking about getting to the Super Bowl or winning a Super Bowl. And the other part of it is they've had really good quarterback play. Now, we can debate all along on where Tony Romo ranks and where Dak ranks, but they have been very good. They've had good quarterback play now for about 20 years. So if you're the Jets and you've been losing like they've been losing for the last decade, 2 decades, they have not had a quarterback. And obviously in the NFL, you can usually pinpoint if you're not winning, you probably don't have a quarterback. Cleveland, right? Great example. They cannot find a quarterback. Haven't been able to for 30 years. But here you've had 20 years of really good upper level quarterback play and still haven't been able to get over that hump. And then there's a couple, Jason Garrett when he was here, and Aaron Rodgers comes in and they convert a 3rd and 19 on the sideline, and that game's over. And so, things happen. But it's funny, I was talking to a Chicago fan today, Bears and all that, and he said, "Hey, next year, I'm not worried about that. Next year's going to be our year." And I said, "No, you can't think like that." I said, "That's what Washington thought. Hey, next year will be our year."
Yeah.
And they went 5 last year, and they went 5-12. Detroit, Baltimore, last year, they're in the divisional playoff game. They don't make the playoffs this year. So you kind of got to strike while the iron's hot. And, there's a few teams in there this year. New England looks like they're poised, right? You got Vrabel, you got a young quarterback. We're going to be good for the next 10 years. But as we know, there are just no guarantees in the NFL. So you better take advantage while you're in there, while you're in that playoff run.
Babe, good luck to the Hoosiers tonight. And
yes, thank you.
Sounds like you got your voice back a little bit. I've been we all been nursing a little bit of that head cold, cough, whatever. But glad we were able to get you on. Good luck again tonight. Always your stuff with both you and Brad, Christy, and what you do with the Cowboys Network. It's absolutely the best in the business, has been forever. And we do appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. Right. I appreciate it. And I appreciate all our listeners. I really do. I always like it when I get texts during the game. Hey, I like this, or you said this. So I always appreciate our listeners. Without them, obviously,
absolutely,
we're just talking to ourselves.
Absolutely. Babe Laughenberg with us on the surge of Indiana football. He was there, played there, and then 168th pick in the draft, 6th-round pick in the draft, and played with Washington, Chargers, Saints, Chiefs, Chargers in Washington 3 times, and then the Cowboys, of course, during the 1989-90 season as well. When we come back, Montana State won a national championship on a 4th and 10 in overtime to beat Illinois State. Their head coach, Brent Vegan, will join us. He's next, and this is 365 Sports. Had a phone conversation yesterday with Dr. Rob Maxey, Ideal MRI, $497 or less every single time that you get an MRI. I said $497 or less. The average is $1,100. They have state-of-the-art imaging. If your doctor wants a better look, he calls Ideal MRI. He requests you get an MRI. I have had that 4 times, different parts of my body, twice my lower back. Whatever it is, an MRI, and that machine that they have, state-of-the-art imaging, Ideal MRI will then send the images to your doctor in the portal and even give you a disc if you want it, and you can see it too. I wouldn't be able to read one for the life of me, but your doctor can. And he or she then can see, okay, wait a minute, that's kind of what we thought, or maybe this is something different, and then take whatever they see and use it for a game plan to make and help you feel better, whether it's surgery or something else. Dr. Rob Maxey and Ideal MRI in the Central Texas Marketplace off I-35 in Waco. IdealMRI.com. Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, raise your cholesterol, and cause weight gain. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results. So if you're tired of being tired, call or go online at pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $165 a month, including lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, and follow-up visits, compared to $300 or more a month in Dallas or Austin. And you don't have to drive 90 miles one way or the other and fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T has board-certified physician consultations and will provide the best form of brand strength testosterone. Contact Petty Clinic Low T for increased energy, improvement in sexual desire and performance, mood, concentration, even a decrease in body and belly fat. Just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway, pettycliniclowt.com.
Whatever it is you wrangle, whatever seeds you sow, no matter what you nurture or what you choose to grow, at Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, we're proud to protect all Texans.
This is 365 Sports.
365 Sports. We've had Robert Griffin III. We've had, of course, Babe Laughenberg, former Indiana quarterback in NFL and voice of the Cowboys analyst with Brad Sham. And we're now joined by a national championship head football coach joins us in Coach Vegan, who's watching his son play, I think, high school basketball right now. Brent, appreciate your time, Brent. National championship. Have you come down from cloud 29 or whatever that number is?
You know, I think at moments in time you're still there, but you realize pretty quickly that, you know, in some ways you're already on to 26, and you're obviously in the year 26, but year 26 season dealing with, you know, the potential movement of some guys and trying to, you know, keep guys here and all that becomes priority one. And, but it's been, you know, amazing I guess the reaction reception we've had back in Bozeman, whether it was getting off the plane or an upcoming parade, all those things. So, you know, this will live on forever, and we'll have a chance to enjoy it for sure.
I know Montana State's history because I'm an SFA guy, and I know you beat them this year in the playoffs. And in 1984, there were championships prior to that, but you've been knocking on the door. What was it like once you knew on that catch and extra point that long, excruciating loss in opportunities to win a national championship finally was over?
Well, you know, you could say there's relief, there's a little bit of disbelief, but to me it flips more to just being so happy for everybody involved, and that starts with our players, but goes to all the players that came before, in particular, maybe even the last you know, few teams that have come up just short, but all our former players and the foundation they've laid, and certainly our supporters. And we had so many that really took over Nashville. It was an amazing scene, and you know, you really just want to do everything you could to appreciate it and take it all in. Those moments in life don't come by all too often. So you got to, enjoy them while you're in the midst of them.
How much did the win on the road at Montana right before the postseason start kind of give you the confidence to win tight and late game situations like you wound up doing?
Oh, without question, it was huge. This group of players and coaches hadn't won over there. Obviously, the stakes of that game beyond the rivalry and all that means were tremendous. And the environment that day was about as hostile as you can get, I would say, anywhere in college football. And our guys went in there and played very poised and just believed. And I think that's been the hallmark of this team, that no matter what might go wrong on a certain play or go right for that matter, we're going to play the next play and go after it. And offense believing in defense believing in offense. And that was certainly on display as we made it as hard on ourselves as we could on Monday night.
You want to give us a scouting report against the team playing tonight in the semifinals in Oregon, who you played earlier this year?
Yeah. Well, they were unbelievable the day we played them from two standpoints. Those games where FBS teams are easy to maybe overlook and play to your competition. And we knew going in there it would be a huge challenge, and it certainly was, because they were on top of their game. That's a credit to those players. It's a credit to Coach Lanning. That's a championship level operation, clearly. I know the one thing that stuck out with me that day, whether they had their ones or twos or the threes out there, they all looked the same. They all played. They played really hard, and we played as hard as we could too. And whether that's the gap it would have been on any given day, that was the gap that day. And I think for our guys, that was game one. For a pretty young team, and it was eye opening, and that's probably just what we needed. You got to be on it to play against the very best, and I think we learned something about definitely some things about ourselves that day.
What did your time at North Dakota State, your time with Craig Bowl, in that coaching tree that's great? It's Craig Bowl and it's Chris Kleiman and Matt Entz and you now that have all kind of come out of that program. What did you learn there, and how much did that form you as a head coach?
Well, it's most of my foundation. I worked with Craig Bowl for 18 years, 11 at North Dakota State, 7 at the University of Wyoming. And, while this thing at NDSU's been going pretty steady since we won that first championship in 2011, there was a preceding build that I was a part of and Coach Bowl led as we moved into FCS in 2004. And it wasn't always easy. There were some ups and downs for that stretch, but I know for all us coaches that got a chance to work under Coach Bowl, it was education on a daily basis. And it's, for all the guys that have moved on to become head coaches, run their programs, I know we're so grateful for kind of that continual just education that we received on how to do things the right way, how to push players, how to love players, how to develop coaches, how to hire coaches. I mean, the list goes on. And it was never like we had maybe a sit-down seminar by any means. You just better pay attention along the way, and you're going to learn something.
Has it given the schools lack of Power 4 schools, coaches like Signetti, Matt Campbell, we mentioned the North Dakota State pipeline that you're a part of, because now what you do at Montana State, do you root for those guys even more because of what they've been able to do and let everyone know that there's damn good football being played and coached around the country?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think there's this sense that if you haven't coached at the Power 4, you don't know how to coach. And I think that's the furthest thing from the truth. You probably don't know how to coach better. You have to do things with less. And the lines are a little blurrier from one school to the next as far as advantages go. So no question. Yeah. Great deal of respect for what, Coach Signetti is his climb, from the D2 ranks. We were one game away from playing his team. They got beat by North Dakota State in 21, and we So, we played NDSU in the finals, and, Coach Leipold, Coach Kleiman, Coach Campbell. Yeah, I think there's a lot of great coaching up and down. And, if you can coach, you can coach. If you can recruit, you can recruit. You can motivate, you can motivate. It doesn't necessarily, you shouldn't be separated from, I guess, the perceived level down to another level.
All right. So your wife played basketball. You're watching. Is it one of your sons? You had 3 sons. Molly was on our national championship team at North Dakota State. Which of the sons is playing? And give us a little update on him.
That's our youngest son, Luke, who's a freshman. So that's why it's mid-afternoon freshman ball here in Billings, Montana. And when I thought it was an earlier start when I gave Bill Lamberty, our SID, the time. So they're up by 15, in the fourth quarter. So it's going well. And playing Billings West, where a lot of our guys have played, the Dollar Boys. We had 5 starters: Paul Brott, Neil Daly, Braden Zimmer. I was actually sitting next to Braden Zimmer's dad here. So going well. And, our other 2 boys are on the team, our older 2 boys, but Luke is out here playing freshman ball and winning a game here against the Bears from Billings West.
Brent, I have a former roommate of mine who grew up in Montana, very small town in Montana, and is a huge Grizz fan. I asked him what I should ask you, and he said, "Whenever that big job comes, please take it." Was his question, but he had told me for years about, you have to watch this Montana State game with me. It is one of the best rivalries, and now I'm hooked on it. It is, I love rivalry weekend. I love all of that. I would say that per capita hate-wise between the 2 schools and how loud and rowdy it is right up there with anybody. If you put it in a 100,000-seat stadium, it would have that same kind of vibe. Can you describe to people who have not experienced it what that game is like?
Well, it's a pretty good description. I know that, our state's only as big as it is, but all the residents of this state, you are likely on one side or the other, and have been that way since birth. And you're born into it. And if you cross those lines, that's probably a pretty challenging thing within families. And I think we have so many guys on our roster. We have 44 from Montana. I know they had in the 30s. So, just how, just that spiderweb effect of teammates playing teammates. We have a couple of guys on our team that they did cross lines. Their parents went to Montana. A couple that had parents or dads play over there. So just even that within families, former teammates, and then let alone, each of the cities and small towns across the state. It doesn't matter where. It could be, Montana's a big state by landmass, but it doesn't matter where. You're going to get tons of people on both sides of it. And, when that game is being played in that Saturday in November, bragging rights are on for the year. And I know for us as coaches, it's a battle that you consciously think of every day relative to the recruiting piece. And, I think for Montana State to get back on the right side of it over the last several years, I'm so appreciative of being a part of it because it is special and it's not everywhere. And a lot of these rivalries, you think about in the Northwest in Washington and Oregon, they might still play, but it doesn't have the same feel and look. And, this one does, and it's probably as good and intense as it's ever been.
Brent, last thing. First of all, good luck at the rest of the game, but congratulations. 4th and 10, overtime. You're at about the 17 or 18, whatever yard line. And I mean, the young man, the out route ends up opening up. Could you believe he was that open and the throw and just that moment, the ball's in the air? What are you feeling?
Well, when there was 2 timeouts between 3rd down and 4th down, and we had lined up in formation between the timeouts. The one thing that kind of gave me a sense of confidence and calm was our offense coordinator, Pete Cervic. He was very convicted about the call, and being in his chair a good chunk of my career, you you know when you have those moments and you know when you don't. And I could sense that deep in the box and all that. He said it pretty clearly. We're going to present this a little different. We're going to get Taco one-on-one. Taco's going to beat his guy. And he's able, in this day and age of technology, to be able to communicate that with Justin. And when I could sense it was probably going to be about Taco getting open and Justin making a throw, now all we had to do is protect it, because they were going to probably bring one more than we had. And sure enough, we send Taco in motion. You can clearly see they're playing cover zero, and you're like, this can happen. This is what was predicted by our coach, and I'd say the rest is history. And that's a moment that at least in Montana is gonna be talked about forever.
Oh, it was like almost in slow motion, just me watching it, beating Illinois State. You beat Stephen F. Austin on the way to the championship. That's my alma mater. I know Montana State has done that before, but that made it pretty cool to see the team that knocked them out. I'm a Lumberjack. End up winning the national title, so congratulations on that. And we'll let you need to watch your son play, but my God, I'm glad we scheduled you, and congratulations on the national title.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it. The reach of FCS football, I think, continues to grow, and that game being a standalone on Monday night, I think, continues to get more and more eyes on it. And certainly the way our game played out, hope we continue to bring the eyes to the FCS ranks. It is football at its finest.
Well, we have a picture. Brent, thank you. We'll let you go. But Brandon, do you have the picture from Sam Herder, who does a great job covering the FCS, and we've had him on this show? There's the attendance. You want to go ahead, Garrett, hang up on Coach so we can, in case he starts barking defensive instructions to his son. Third most FCS title championship game ever. Most viewed quarterfinal round game this year in 14 years. This is the trend in college football, the bowl games, etc. But big time, 2.3 million viewers watching that game, and it was spectacular, beating Illinois State, who was also a hell of a team this year. We break here, and when we come back, we've discussed the DJ Lagway and some of the stories. Pete Thamel saying that he's still might take visits. RG3 was live with us at 3:30 and giving us a lot of great insight. I've given you a couple of notes from part of the DJ Lagway camp. But a lot of this uncertainty and drama, it's not quite the same as Washington quarterback Damon Williams, who had signed and not only a scholarship to go back for another year, but also NIL, or what do they call the revenue sharing contract. But we need to update you on that, because did that not take a turn? And it looks like maybe everybody involved might be happy. That and more, and we appreciate your time. This is 365 Sports.
When you play hard, sometimes you fall hard. Sports injuries require special treatment. At Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, our team of expert doctors provides athletes and active adults with comprehensive sports medicine care, diagnostics, whether you're in high school, college, or beyond, we'll help you get back on the field. Call on the team physicians for Baylor Athletics. Call Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics.
Serving Central Texas since 1889, TFNB Your Bank for Life takes pride in being more than a bank. At TFNB, we remain committed to these principles. If you value them too, come join us. TFNB, Your Bank for Life.
UBO Business Services. We are a studies-based service organization that is the best in Texas when it comes to copiers, printers, and scanners. The way we quantify that is through a company used by millions of corporations called Net Promoter Score. What Net Promoter Score looks at are your Google reviews. We have a better Net Promoter Score than H-E-B with a 65 and Ritz-Carlton Hotels with a 70. According to Net Promoter Score, if you're a 70 or above, you're considered world-class in customer service. UBO Business Services is an 86 when it comes to Net Promoter Score. You can find us at ubeo.com, ubeo.com.
What does being different mean to me? That is an interesting question. Because
because there really isn't one way. There's a bunch of different ways you could do it.
This is the Sonos Arc Ultra, and this is what you need to know about. It represents one of the easiest ways to get into high-quality home cinema without loads of cables and faffing around. And that's because the Arc Ultra provides full Dolby Atmos without any rear speakers thanks to its sound motion technology. And Sonos is actually calling sound motion one of the most significant breakthroughs in audio engineering in nearly 100 years. It's an amazing setup, it sounds absolutely fantastic, I love the absence of fat. If you're a Sonos person, there's a reason you're watching this video.
It's time to compete against yourself, finding too many excuses not to work out combined with bad eating habits, and Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness can help reach inside your competitive soul. Discipline, getting results you've only dreamed about, personal training, group exercise classes, and even a tanning bed, world-class tennis facility, and pickleball courts and lessons available. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, spacious, clean workout rooms, free weights, state-of-the-art technology, weight training equipment, and no intimidation. It's time for you to react today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
This is 365 Sports.
All right, here we go. By the way, Brandon Rowe, man, talk about like a big polar bear in hibernation for as long as he was gone. My God. And he has not been. I'm just be honest with you. He's been a little bit, he's not as sharp as he needs to be. By next week, it needs to get better, Paul and Craig. He's good, but Garrett, we need to work on him. Brandon, good to see you. You aged a year since the last time we saw you. It was that long. Andrew Valade putting up everything, and Garrett is busting his, putting up all the clips of various things from RG3, Babe Laughenberg, and also from Brent Vegan. So here's drama. If Baylor fans have a little heartburn, anxiety, and, kind of that PTSD, because this here was, my goodness, what a story. Damon Williams signs with Washington, including a nice NIL package. Then, in Washington, everything's done. And then all of a sudden, he is trying to get out of it and maybe was going to visit. So then Darren Heitner, his representative drops him. Darren Heitner takes over, and it wasn't very long after that Damon Williams said in this statement he has decided he's going to stay at Washington.
The rumor out there, and again, I haven't heard this totally confirmed, but the same guy who was in Nico's ear last year is the guy who got in Damon's ear about transferring. And that cost Nico Iamaleava a lot of money, because he's not making as much at UCLA as he was at Tennessee. And Damon Williams thought, okay, well, the market's different now because it's not the spring and all this, and jumped in the portal. But part of that, and this is his statement there, also apologizing for doing it when he did, which was during the funeral of a Washington athlete that had passed away, which is just incredibly poor timing on his part, and kind of obtuse to the situation. But he is coming back, and that's due in large part, and I'm pretty sure that his previous agent and Darren Heitner, his now attorney, told them that this fact right here from Ross Dellinger, that if he leaves, that Washington and he owe the next school $4 million, which is why Washington is going to...
The next school and he owe Washington $4 million. You said...
Oh, yeah, the next school in Washington owe he... or a Washington $4 million. Sorry. So that's why Washington, of course, was going to fight it. But the next school, so if he's getting $5 million in NIL, he's really getting $1 million in NIL, because $4 million would have to go back to Washington. So the money he was being promised was never real. It was never real. So whoever got in his ear was a bad actor and convinced him of that. So now he's going back and having to rebuild some trust. That's going to be interesting for Washington, but good news for them that he's not leaving.
Yeah, in the end, it looks like this all ended in a pretty darn good way.
Yeah, and I was wrong because I didn't think that they'd be able to salvage this the way that it was going yesterday, but they did. They managed to salvage it, and he'll be back at Washington. So I guess there weren't relationships that were immediately broken and irreparable, and that's good. I mean, it all happened very quickly. I'm sure a lot of heads were spinning, and Washington kept its cool and just did what they needed to do to defend themselves. And obviously it became very clear to Darren Heitner very quickly of like, we have nothing here.
Yep.
Like you have no case. So you better go back to Washington and say, hey, sorry guys, a little bit over my skis and I really want to be a Husky still. And they obviously care for the young man and he's a good quarterback. So good for them on being able to make it work out. I'm sure there will be some UW fans though that aren't going to be big Damon Williams fans moving forward. Like you want him to win games for you, but I think you're going to be side-eyeing him a little bit more than just the guy who was tried and true and never, threatened to go jump in the portal at the end of the year. As far as the advisor thing, there's a guy, his name's Cordell Landers. He's on Twitter, and he posted, he's apparently the guy that was being referenced, and he said, I was thinking about not saying anything, and look, I don't really like to shed light on these people that are the behind-the-scenes folks, but for the sake of the story, I'll mention it this time. But he said, dudes from On3, which Sam was from ESPN, so this got community noted, actually, will say and do anything for clicks. Creating false narratives is what they do. From and Damon Dad, wish you had me on this one, but like always, it's not true. Suck it easy, Pete. So very professional, this guy. And he shows a DM with Damon's dad, and it's just kind of funny because I'm sure a lot of people do this where they put in names to pronounce it right, but it says Mond, like is what he has it written as. Okay. It says Mr. Williams Mond is how he's got it in his phone. Mr. Williams Damon's dad is what it's written there, but it's found that kind of funny anyways. He says, for sure you didn't do anything, bro, to this agent guy, and basically calls them liars, and I guess it's Damon's dad that says he's going to talk to his lawyers in the morning or vice versa. Either way, they appear to be on the same page, I suppose, this Landers fellow and Damon's dad. But yeah, either way, if you were relying on the guy who cut the Nico UCLA deal, what the hell are you doing? Like, I don't know what his other banner gets are, but that one right there is a pretty just dope kind of moment that happened, and to try and replicate that in some way is just not very smart at all. And so glad to see this stomped out and put to bed pretty quickly. And, I was saying yesterday when Heitner got involved, I was like, oh boy, here we go. But clearly that paper, that agreement, that was rock solid, because it did not take 3 hours before that was all just like, he's coming back to Washington. Yeah. Like, this is all done. Sorry
Darren
for the
got
scare.
The paperwork and went,
yeah. He said, I can't break this one.
Yeah. And look, I think that, good attorneys like Darren are going to look at things and say, look, the best thing for you, and I will always advocate for your rights as a player, and if you really want to leave, I'll get you out, but you're going to be losing money.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to make as much, because whoever would have to get you, okay, so say you're making 4, they're going to have to pay you 8. Well, they're not going to do that. So you're going to be losing money.
Yeah. I mean, he lost reportedly $3 million or so with the whole move from Tennessee. So I don't know. And look, this is what one screenshot is from this guy's perspective. I'm not going to dig any further than that, because Damon Williams isn't going anywhere, and I don't really care to know the agents that well and have them be a big part of my focal point, even though they are a big part of the whole enterprise now. So there you go. That's just from his agent, and I'm glad that worked out. I
didn't think it would either.
I think Damon Williams is a hell of a player. I think that's great for Washington, and so for LSU now, where do you go? And the reporting is that Sam Leavitt's headed to Miami, if not there already, but he's visiting Miami. So that at least answers a question about the Canes. We know what Ole Miss is now doing. They're going Deuce Knight or DJ Lagway, and Deuce Knight's visiting there this weekend, correct? And so they'll push for a commit, and I'd imagine if he commits, well, then Lagway is going to have a choice to make. Does LSU come calling after him at some point? Like, I don't know, but Leavitt's off to Miami for a visit, and Ole Miss has their plans. So, there's still some more dominoes to fall here.
Here are some quotes on this story from Jed Fish, the head coach. Damon and I engaged in a very honest and heartfelt conversations over the past and future. We both agree Washington is the best place for him to continue his academic, athletic, and social development. I appreciate his statement. I support him. We'll work together to begin the process of repairing relationships and regaining the trust of the Husky community. That's a big deal, and that's not going to just happen. Washington AD Pat Chun. It is critical in this post-house revenue sharing environment that contracts with student athletes are not only enforced, but respected by everyone within the college sports ecosystem.
Yeah, it is. And look, this is where this is not about player rights and school rights and all those different things. I think at the end of the day, this is a $4 million revenue share contract that he signed. Like that has got to mean something. And this should hopefully help bring about reasonable dialogue on collective bargaining, because if there are illegal clauses or clauses that are not enforceable in these contracts, then it behooves the conferences and schools and the NCAA to move forward with, let's get out of court. So that's where collective bargaining comes in there. And we'll see. I did want to give it here's an update on the quarterbacks, by the way, who are out there. So DJ Lagway's out there. We know that, and he is verbally committed to Baylor at this time. Sam Leavitt visiting Miami. He's visited Tennessee. He's visited
about 5 more schools than I expected at this point.
LSU and some other play, and I think had conversations with a couple other places. Dylan Raiola's out there. I don't know if Dylan Raiola's taken visits yet. I have no idea.
I mean, I saw him linked to Oregon as far as just a rumored spot for him to go. They're obviously pretty busy right now. You said Leavitt, Tennessee. Is that what you said, or Miami?
He visited Tennessee 2 days
now
ago.
He's visiting Miami.
Now he's visiting Miami. And I think he's going to wind up at Miami. But
I mean, if you're going to watch them go win a national title here in the next week, that seems like a pretty good place to play. We know they pay well, and they've had a great run where Cam Ward, now they're going to have Mendoza at the top of the draft. But yeah, I don't know what I guess with Raiola, I don't know what the latest is on him.
Yeah. Bo Prabula is visiting Tennessee this weekend. He visited Georgia Tech today. And so that's an interesting one that he's still out there. But that starts to get lower down the rankings. There are 2 guys I'm curious about. Hussein Longstreet, who was at USC, who was a 5-star recruit last year, is looking for a starting job. And also Bryce Baker, who was a 4-star recruit last year that committed to Bill Belichick. He's out there. Those guys feel like they're ready to start, and we'll see where they wind up. But after that, you get into the Eli Holsteins and Austin Novasads of the world that are kind of itinerant, and that's where it falls off. So there are dominoes to fall, and we'll see where Baylor and DJ Lagway fall and all that, or Baylor and whoever it is, because Ole Miss, LSU, Miami, Tennessee all being out there needing quarterbacks has got to make Baylor a little bit nervous.
Yeah, I would think so.
Well, the other thing is a lot of names are still out there.
I think it's also making a lot of other teams nervous that they're still sitting here. Like, how many quarterbacks has Tennessee had visit at this point? I mean, how many people have LSU seen come through the doors here? So it's not just them. It's a lot of teams right now that I think are trying to figure out what their next step is going to be. And, there's only so many options out there before you're reduced to maybe going lower than you thought you'd have to go in the rankings. Inevitably, somebody's probably going to have to. And, the Longstreet thing popped off yesterday, and that was one where there's a little bit of, what does this mean? And trying to kind of read the tea leaves a little bit with him and maybe LSU, because now they're not guaranteed to get the situation they thought with Damon Williams. So, now who's next on their list? All right, well, maybe it's Longstreet that they now have to pivot to. But yeah, I don't think this is how LSU drew it up, and I don't think this is probably how a few others drew it up either. But it's a wild world out there, that quarterback carousel.
All right, so Brandon, that's the Damon Williams story, all summed up. It does appear I like what Jed Fish. Hey, listen, you got to repair some things. They didn't say specific, but they got to repair some things with the Washington Husky community. Brendan Sorsby, Texas Tech. This is a story from Justin Williams that he had a $1 million buyout that he had to take and give to Cincinnati. So that all worked right. He was at Cincinnati, signed a deal, $1 million buyout, signs with Tech, and Cincinnati gets their money, at least that money that was in the contract back.
Yeah, and look, he's getting a raise at Tech, so I mean, nobody ever wants to see $1 million go away, but I don't think he'll miss it as much as others would.
I mean, no, because he's not going to miss anything. He's still going to get $1 million and more and more and more than that. So, yeah, he's not missing a damn thing. And good news for Cincinnati is neither are they, because they will get that buyout, and that'll hopefully help offset just his loss. I'd imagine they're still taking somewhat of a loss, because I can't imagine him leaving spiked ticket sales for next year. And I think at the same time, you probably do have a lot of money in addition to that buyout to play with, because I don't think they were paying him peanuts either. They just couldn't pay him what it's rumored, $5 million or whatever. This is the way it all operates and works. And so Tech's probably a team that'll be paying a lot of buyouts moving forward, and they'll be glad to do so because the money never runs dry, and they want to get the best players possible. So well worth the investment to go and get him at really any cost. But yeah, $1 million. All right, cut the check and let's get our 5-star transfer portal quarterback to hopefully put this thing over the top.
We don't have to comment, but a couple of other quick notes on the portal, and then we have Zach Barnett, footballscoop.com. Utah star defensive lineman linebacker John Henry Daly commits to Michigan following Whittingham there. Also, Kobe Black from Texas, cornerback who played high school ball here at Conley High School, is entering the transfer portal.
Yeah, I saw some mixed reaction from some Texas folks. Like, there's a segment of them that is nervous that they're not really landing a bunch of big fish and they're losing a lot of guys, losing a lot of depth pieces. And then at the same time, there's folks that go like, oh, well, Kobe Black footwork wasn't this and he wasn't that, and we got this guy, that guy, and the other. So depends on where you look of what the feeling is. But I think the general feeling around Texas is a little bit of unease right now about, you kind of thought when you were in this portal world that they would be the top team cleaning house and taking names and doing really what Tech was doing in some ways. But they've been a little bit more even keel. They still spent a lot of money. I mean, they got like probably $7 million tied up in the quarterback alone. But they haven't had quite the huge splashes. Now we'll see on Cam Coleman and if they get him or not. But I don't think this is like, oh my God, we lost Black. But it is a number of guys now that you've lost. You're like, okay, we got to now get couple corner. We got to do some work. So
there's a little bit of like
they're teetering on the edge of, they're either going to get this big wave.
There's some anxiety going on.
Yeah, they're either going to get this big wave of guys like Cam Coleman and Rasheem Biles and some big name transfers, or they're just going to whiff this year and piece it together. Does that mean they're going to be bad next year? No. But it means that their goals were not probably met initially in the transfer.
Yeah, they always end up at the end kind of not salvaging. They get what they want. They got some other visits, and they're getting other players to look at them. But at least it's started. There is a little bit of consternation right now about, hey, how come it's not quite what we had expected to be?
Yeah, you're the kid looking outside while everybody's playing and you're grounded or whatever. You're like staring out the window at all the fun everybody's having. I think that's a lot of schools right now watching a Texas Tech or an Indiana or others who have made big splashes at this point. And so, I think that's kind of the vibe there, but they do have the opportunity to close on some guys. And then with Black, I mean, he had a brother that played at Oklahoma State. He's from the Waco area. So there's a couple teams that maybe would make sense, or at least he would be smart to kick the tires on. But I'm sure he'll have a lot of other options as well.
When we come back, Zach Barnett, footballscoop.com. There's a story about, Garrett Riley is going to land somewhere. It looks like maybe Missouri. Paul talked with Zach. We have the top 5, the quizzes, the poll, the wheel, and more. This, and we appreciate your time, hit the like button, is 365 Sports.
Barnett, footballscoop.com, sadly on the phone with us today because he's itinerant and not sitting in the spot he normally is. But we do have Zach Barnett back, and the original Twitter account is back. So if you're following that one, you can go ahead and follow it again. And I'm very happy. That for you is that a bigger victory or Miami last night a bigger victory?
Let's be real here. Getting my Twitter account back is bigger to me than Miami playing for a national championship in their home stadium.
Yeah, absolutely. That game last night was a fantastic game. Ole Miss has a knack for making second halves kind of wild, and I do feel that there was a little bit of karmic justice at the end of the game last night. I think that call could have gone either way. If they had called pass interference, they didn't call it, it's whatever. But Miami, in the same city 20 some odd years ago, lost a game because of a bad pass interference call and lost what would have been their 6th national title. So sometimes I do think there is karmic justice in the universe. What did you make of the ending of the game?
Yeah, if I'm an Ole Miss fan, I'm screaming in the moment, but at the same time, you got to acknowledge
that's almost never getting called at that point. And it would have given the ball at around the 20. So it's not like it would have put it at the 2, like this is the NFL. But I mean, we always say we don't want refs to decide games, and then they swallowed their whistle on that one. And I think if the sides were reversed, then everyone would be screaming opposite of what they are. But it is what it is. Unless you straight up tackle the guy and tuck him into bed, then they're not going to call in that situation, and that's ultimately what we want. And I didn't realize that Miami. I obviously was around for that Ohio State Fiesta Bowl loss. I did not realize they were 0-4 in the Fiesta Bowl, and I believe I'm going through in my head. And previously Texas became the first team to win all New Year's Six bowls, and I think Miami now joins them. I need to double check that, and obviously it's easier now that you can win a Cotton Bowl and a Fiesta Bowl in the same season. Obviously you couldn't do that previously, but I also found it funny that Mario Cristobal has come a long way in trying to put the U behind him, and then we're playing for the future, not the past. And then Holly Rowe asked him about finally winning a Fiesta Bowl, and he could not be less interested in answering that question.
No, he was not. And they keep saying they want to put the U behind him, but he was the U. That, like, they brought him from that era. And, you know, and then when you say you put the U, but like you want to be a new thing, a new era, the U was all around. Michael Irvin, Ray Lewis, Andre Johnson, Edgerrin James, like they were everywhere last night. And it really does bode well, though, for a program that's in, you know, a recruiting hotbed that was able to, you know, kind of in their heyday, put a lid over South Florida, and really only a couple people got out, you know, every now and again when it came to recruiting. They'll have people that want to come in. They've got a really good NIL structure. Everything is kind of gone the right way for them now, and getting to the national championship game so early in Mario Cristobal's tenure really does establish them as someone to be reckoned with down the line, because they do appear to completely know what they're doing now for the first time in 25 years.
Yeah, and I saw a quote that surfaced from Mario today about running into Miami coaches at the airport when he was not at Miami and recruiting for other programs, and just thinking to himself, like, what are you doing? Why are you in an airport? Go get in the car. And certainly, I mean, it's not recruiting. We see it in the state of Texas every single year. Recruiting in 2026 is not what it was in the 90s and the early 2000s, where you can really build a fence around a particular area. It's just much more national now. And obviously the calculus has changed for everyone with NIL and rev share and all that stuff. But they've got their formula figured out. And the latest indications that Sam Levitt's going to go visit. I like everyone, I think he's a really good quarterback. And if there is a chink in the armor, it might be that you are vulnerable. I don't know why anyone would sign with Miami out of high school if you're a quarterback, because they clearly have no interest in playing someone who's played college football for less than 4 years. So if you get an injury, or if one guy doesn't work out for whatever reason, then you're kind of probably screwed for that season. But I mean, Mario's not going anywhere, and they've got a formula and the backing to be competitive every single year. And they're in the ACC, which you think, well, they'll dominate the ACC, but Miami could literally win a national championship before they win an ACC championship.
Yeah, they probably should be the ACC champs anyway. I think they would have won that game had they played in it. Still can't believe that they haven't, like, in the ACC, which is very fluid, that they hadn't found at least 1 year to do it. But that's kind of how bad things got for them, and how much of an afterthought that they were. Carson Beck's been in college a long time. He was very maligned at the end of last year. And then he comes out, and he has not had what you'd call a spectacular season numbers-wise or whatever. But clearly Shannon Dawson found a way to kind of fit him in where he belonged, in how to make him the quarterback that is most effective. What do you think was so different from the last year at Georgia to this year in Miami for him?
I kind of think everything at Georgia just, I don't know, from afar, it seemed like the expectations were a little bit out of whack. Not out of whack, but the cart was a little bit ahead of the horse. They were last season's preseason number one. He was the projected first round pick, and then they don't look like that coming out. And then even though they won the SEC championship, it just seemed like that team never had the chemistry, the leadership that certain team that you really need to hit that extra that Miami has right now. And I'm not going to say Carson Beck was blameless on that. Maybe he's grown a little bit. Maybe he's humbled a little bit. Who knows? But he seems really comfortable in his skin at Miami. He seems comfortable knowing that, hey, if I have to throw for 100 yards for us to win the game, then I'll throw for 100 yards to do more. Obviously, he made the plays. I mean, that drive last night was legendary, and the touchdown run, I've gone back and watched that a number of times today. I can only imagine if I was a Miami fan how many times I would have watched it. But he seems really comfortable just letting the game come to him. And I wonder if that translated to his off-the-field behavior as well.
Zach, we had another story drop during the playoff game last night that was the culmination of three of the strangest days in transfer portal history, with Damon Williams, whose agent dropped him after he tried to opt out of the deal with Washington. He was going to get sued. He had to hire Darren Heitner, all these different things. And then we've come to find out that he would have had to pay a $4 million buyout. Maybe some of those offers of that money wasn't really real, all the way up and down, and that he was, maybe influenced from the outside. What's your take on the whole Damon Williams situation?
Yeah, I haven't delved into it as much as I would have liked to, but I do know that it seems like the same guy that tried to talk him and told him it was a good idea to leave Washington for apparently LSU also was the same guy that told Nico Iamaleava, pardon me, to the Iamaleava family for that pronunciation, that it was a good idea for him to leave Tennessee. So if there's one thing we can all take from this, it's maybe we should leave that guy by the wayside. But it does seem like Heitner got his hands on the contract and realized pretty quickly, then got Damon, mom and dad on the phone, was like, guys, you can go play for LSU, but everything that they're going to pay you, you would immediately owe to Washington. The Washington, the Big Ten knew what they were doing when they drafted this contract. So the adults in the room prevailed, and it's fitting that the adults in the room are a lawyer who's an independent party at a conference who did it themselves. And it seems like if we have guardrails, they're not coming from Congress or the NCAA. It's kind of just a free market.
Yeah, all those guardrails aren't coming until they figure it out themselves. And one day they will. One day, Zach, they'll understand, the rule makers, that, hey, Congress isn't coming to help us. We have to go to them and give them something, and then they'll codify it, which is like they want Congress to come up with ideas. They're not going to the idea factory for that. That's like wanting a cup of coffee and then going to the laundromat. Like you're not understanding what they do there.
And I mean, every time, you see the same clips that I do when they do have hearings. I mean, it is the most stick to politics thing ever when they'll bring up talking points that they clearly got from their office aides that barely follow the sport or are 2 years old or whatnot, that just make you really lose your faith in all of America, because you're like, if they're this out of touch with something that I understand, imagine how out of touch they are with actual complicated things that really do shape our lives that I just don't know. But I mean, my goodness.
Yeah, that's how I felt. Was like, all right, they're not doing good at this college football thing. The infrastructure meeting must be really, so why do we need bridges? You're like, yeah, well, we got to drive over water, but do we? Come on. This is not hard to grasp at all. Is there anything that's gone on in the transfer portal that, outside of the Damon Williams thing, that has surprised you? Like LSU and Texas haven't really made hauls yet. That kind of surprises me. Is there anything else like that that's kind of popped up?
Yeah, I think Ohio State is taking it in the shorts a little bit as well. Mm-hmm. And I think you've kind of seen I think we're seeing the future of the sport being shaped kind of in real time because these Texas and Ohio State, these programs that are recruited top 5 levels have all kind of lost way more players than they've gained in terms of numbers. And it seemed like the thinking was, all right, we'll sign this top 5 class, we'll pay these guys their market rate, whatever it is, and then we'll explain to them on the front end, hey, you're probably not going to play first year, maybe not even second year, and we're paying a down payment now to get you on campus. But once you're here, you're going to be paid by what you produced and what you're expected to produce. So that number might go down, and they're probably whatever. I'm a 5-star, I'll start immediately. And then maybe reality hits them in the face a little bit, and then other programs, be they the SEC and the Big Ten, come calling and say, hey, we have a starting spot for you. We'll pay you like a starter. And it's like, well, why would I stick around here? So I think you're going to see these major programs spend their money on their top 50. They'll spend 90% of their money on their top 50 players, and the bottom of the roster is basically going to be playing there basically for free because it just doesn't make sense for them to invest in that depth, even if they might need it. So you might see these programs be more volatile year to year, but it just doesn't make economic sense because a lot of these schools in college football, their shopping list starts with the Ohio State backups and the Georgia backups. And you're just playing defense all the time if you're at the top of the food chain.
You know, the other thing I think, and again, these are all kind of fads. I think that the Indiana type thing is going to be popular for kids for a while, where I'm going to go play at this place that's never won before because I can, and 2, it's going to be the cool thing to do. Like I don't have to be at Texas or Michigan or whatever. I can be at Indiana. I can go to NC State if they, that's a random thing, but I can do that if they're kind of all in, and I'll go do that there. And then I'm being cool and different and individual, right?
Yeah. And then the end result's going to be that this sport is getting flatter and flatter in terms of the worst team to the best team by the year. It's only going to, that curve is only going to continue to flatten because these guys all know that they want to get to the NFL, and it doesn't make sense for most of these guys to make less money to not play, even at an Ohio State, a Georgia, fill in the blank. You might as well just go make more money and play. Like it's on the surface, it's a win-win for these guys.
Absolutely. Zach, we appreciate your time always. We'll talk to you again next week, where we will be talking about who is playing in the national championship game for some stupid reason on Monday night.
Oh yeah. I'm excited for our 9-10 day break, whatever it is.
Yeah. Well, we just need it to reset, to really do the work on the game. That's what I think we need. Zach Barnett, footballscoop.com. This is, there's always never a bad time of year, but best time of year right now for footballscoop.com to follow coaching and transfer portal and all that. They've got it all there at footballscoop.com. Zach, we'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good. Thanks.
This is Paul Catalina's Top 5.
Welcome into Paul Catalina's Top 5, brought to you by Flag and Anthem. Use our promo code 365sports for a discount at checkout. We're going to take a break from quarterbacks. Going to wait through the weekend, and then I'm going to assess where the dominoes fall because Sam Levitt and all the things that will go on. We'll take a break. We'll reassess, and then we'll get in some other positions as well, like wide receivers, once Cam Coleman and all those other things kind of all fall into place and are solidified. I kind of want to wait until I know for sure that the ink is dry. And even if the ink is dry, apparently that doesn't mean much anymore. So let's talk running backs. Number 5, Trey Wisner to FSU, A- here. Really, I could have get. This is a great scheme fit. Is absolutely Gus Malzahn's offense. They need leaders like Trey Wisner. I am well too biased on this on every angle as an FSU alum and fan, I love it. As someone who has known Trey Wisner since he was 15 years old, I love it. He's a good kid. He's really you want in the team that you love, you want players that are going to be, kind of shining examples of what it was. He was a great leader at Texas. FSU's getting a good player that's a good scheme fit, that can be a good leader for some of the younger and very talented running backs they have in that roster, and hopefully helps them win some games this year. I think perfect scheme fit for Gus Malzahn. I don't know if what they're doing for the guy who's going to hand him the ball, but that was a rant for 2 days ago. If you want to watch it, you can. If not, just know it went about how you thought. Number 4, Mekhi Hughes at Houston. He kind of vanished at Oregon, which was shocking to me because when Dan Lanning gets a player, he milks everything he can get out of them on the field. I say that in a good way. It's not malicious at all, but Mekhi Hughes was someone who I thought would fit in well with that Dan Lanning system. It didn't work out. Don't know why, it just didn't work out. So now he's going to Houston to play for Willie Fritz, who he ran for a crap ton of yards with when he was at Tulane. So this is really great. Only a B+ because is something wrong with Mekhi Hughes. So if he didn't hit at Oregon, I know Willie Fritz is going to get the most out of him at Houston, but questions remain about what happened there to Mekhi Hughes. But I love the reunion of Mekhi Hughes and Willie Fritz in Coug Town down there. Number 3, Turbo Richard, A for Indiana. Absolutely. And they just keep killing it. Everything they've done is an A in the portal. Josh Hoover is an A. The wide receivers they've got an A. They're just killing it in the portal. Thanks to Kurt Cignetti and, of course, now his new sugar daddy, or at least increased sugar daddy, Mark Cuban. So the Mavericks might suck now, but guess what? Indiana's good. Sorry for your luck, Mavs fans. But Turbo Richard at Boston College was a really good player on a really bad team. And you put him in that offense that rotates running backs, they kind of have a 1-2 punch all the time. Both those guys are going to be gone. Roman Hemby and others will be out the door, and Turbo Richard will step in. I think it's a great fit. I think Josh Hoover's going to love being able to turn around and hand the ball off to a guy named Turbo and watch him actually get first down. So I think that's going to be fun for him at Indiana. Number 2, Caleb Hawkins at OK State, A. I think there can be a debate had over who the best offensive player for North Texas was. Is it Caleb Hawkins or is it Drew Mestamaker? Now, it's probably symbiotic so much in the fact that they fed off each other so well, and they will continue to do that in Stillwater. This is an A all the way around. I think he was the best running back who was available. If you told me Caleb Hawkins was going to Alabama or Miami or Georgia or somewhere like that, I would have been yeah, good pickup for them. I think he was the best running back in the entire portal available, at least to this point. It's still open for another few days, so we'll see if anybody else kind of comes off the top rope and jumps in. But Caleb Hawkins, best running back in the portal, and Eric Morris made sure he brought him with him to Stillwater. A on this one. And an A+, which I probably should have given an A+ on that last one. But big Hollywood Smothers fan, and he is now on his way to Bama. And Keelan Russell will be the quarterback there next year. As we know, Ty Simpson's on his way to the NFL draft. And if you want to be successful at Bama, they need running backs that can make plays. I don't really think – I watched Bama a lot. I don't think their offensive line was quite as good as they wanted it to be, but I think it was more in the case that whole running back room was not really Alabama running backs. I think they didn't have anybody who was the ball's in their hand, oh crap, what's going to happen? Hollywood Smothers is that guy. He is a ball in his hand, probably going to get a first down, and maybe worse for you for the defense. They did not have that guy. He is that guy. I'm sure they're going to bring in some other young guys and do that. They're going to get more athletic at that position. But this was a great start for Kalen DeBoer, who is going to be harassed by the fans through the offseason for daring to lose 4 games, even though he made it to the second round of the playoffs by, papal anointment, apparently. That's what Alabama gets to do. But I do love this signing. Hollywood Smothers at Bama. Great fit. Should be fun for them. And nice for a first-year quarterback to have a running back behind him that can make plays like Hollywood can. Well, that's going to do it for the top 5 for this week. And the final wheel to get you through the weekend right now. This thing is officially broken, Andrew, by the way. It's
okay.
It's falling.
How long are we going to do this bit?
No, I'm just telling, like, Monday we're going to have to do something else. Like, completely. Like, this is, for this particular wheel, it's probably the death rattle.
It's from Andrew throwing it around when we get his poll questions right.
Yeah.
Just throws it into the wall and breaks it.
Yeah, but what is the problem with it? Is it the bottom of the...
Yeah, it's the bottom.
Okay.
Yeah, so...
You need a handyman?
It's all stripped out.
Call Solomon. What's your guy's name? Solomon? Or
he's a plumber, but
okay. All right.
I don't want to... I think his expertise would be wasted on this. Okay, how far back can you name all the college football national champions?
Well, yeah. I could go probably deep into the early 60s.
I mean, I used to be able to do this
From
for probably
now?
20.
Oh.
Yeah, there's no chance in hell, Paul, that he's being accurate right now. There's absolutely no chance whatsoever.
We tell you things, and 30 seconds later you forget them.
Yeah, but
There's
sure,
no way you're going back 66 years.
Yeah.
I bet I could, out of 66 years, how many do you think I could mention?
I don't think that many, because I think what I'm about to say is that I think the order of like when Clemson won this particular year and when it was Alabama and when it was like, I don't know that the way I used to know things. Like I could say like Nebraska won 94 and 95 and Florida won 96 and then Michigan, Nebraska split 97 and then Tennessee in 98 or whatever. Like I could do that.
It's weird how we can remember that, but not 5 years ago.
And then I could do early 2000s for a while, but then when it gets into like Alabama, Clemson territory, I start to get confused on like exactly the right years. So I don't know that I would go. I could probably go like 5 or 6 years back or something, but then I'd get muddled.
Yeah.
I used to be a lot better about that.
Yeah, I would probably have a better, like, somebody would have to go backwards and I would have to go forwards. Like if I started at 1992, I could probably rattle them off till about 2004 or 5. Just 5 for sure. And then that's 20 years in the middle where I'd start to like.
Do y'all remember who won the COVID title?
Yeah.
Alabama did.
Okay, Alabama. Yeah, I just wanted to throw in the curveball.
Over Clemson.
That was after the greatest team ever in LSU and Joe Burrow.
Well, that's why I started there because, obviously the last couple have been the Big Ten schools, the game opponents, and then you had Georgia's back-to-backs, and you had COVID with Bama and LSU before that, and then we could stop there. But that's the SEC's high, like at their peak, basically, with all those titles. And then now we've seen the last couple of years this change. But yeah, when I'd get like probably in the 2010s, I think I'd probably slip and get Clemson and Alabama backwards or something one specific year. But yeah, I could do the 90s really well and into the early 2000s.
Yeah, I could do that, but yeah, there's no way. I know that what the intent of this was Andrew wanted us to go back,
right?
And like,
well,
start
I know
doing
one thing. It hurt my feelings.
So it was Michigan, and then it was Ohio State, and it was
Okay, who won it in 63 or 4?
I don't know.
Yeah, Texas, I think, won it in 63.
So you think?
No. Texas won it in 63. Arkansas in 64.
Is there any particular reason why you bring that specific
that's kind of
time
when it all
period up?
starts to shift a little. It's weird. I can remember the 60s,
You said
70s.
63, 64, 1965. Guess what?
What?
Here we are, SOL.
66, 67.
66, it was Notre Dame.
See, so 65,
60,
nothing.
huh?
65, still nothing.
I get
so
back.
you already whiffed
No.
on a decade you said you had on lock.
69 was Texas. 70 was Nebraska and Texas.
Did you just not play it because of the war because of Nam?
USC, I think, was 67. Ohio State, 68. Want to keep going?
No,
I don't.
Absolutely
let's
not.
go.
No, I don't.
All right.
Yeah. Okay, let's go.
You guys you're very cruel.
No,
today.
I don't want to be here for another. So 92, we had Alabama. 93,
92 would have been George Teagan, Alabama, right?
Yeah.
All right.
In the 1939 regular season, the Tennessee Vols accomplished a feat of perfection that has never been matched since. What was it? Kicker hit 100% field goals, 0 penalties all year, 0 points allowed, or 0 passing yards. Well, A&M was the national champion, so I'm going to say no to the 0 points allowed.
It's been a while since A&M was the national champion.
That was A&M's national championship year. You can buy a T-shirt at the stadium that says that. I'm going to say... I'm sure somebody's done 100.
First of all, the field goals are irrelevant. That's a toss-up. Get that one out of there.
No, that one's not there. It's either penalties or 0 passing yards. I'm going to say 0 passing yards because this is the era where there were still coaches that thought that would make you gay. So,
yeah, I guess that's one way to put it.
Yeah.
0. I have no idea on the answer here.
Yeah.
So I'll default to you guys. I feel like in that era, it was possible you could have given up 0 points and still not been national champion because of how just wonky it was.
It could have been a 0-0 tie, and they won. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. They lost the coin flip at afterwards or something. I don't know. It's penalties or passing yards. I would if I had to put money on it.
Okay, let's go. I'm going to say passing yards.
It's going to be
points allowed. Oh wow.
Regular season 10-0, outscoring opponents 212-0. Last team in NCAA history to go undefeated, untied, unscored upon in the regular season, while they eventually lost to USC in the 40 Rose Bowl. So it's the regular season. That's the part that we didn't focus on. That's
and back in those days, you could run the table in the regular season, go undefeated, win the national title, lose in the bowl game, and still be declared I guess it was the AP or UPI. One of those did not include bowl games in the national championship. How about that?
Yeah.
All right. I didn't know that guys who threw the ball in the 30s and 40s, et cetera, were thought of that way, Paul.
Okay, let's see. In 1998, People magazine planned to name Kansas City quarterback Rich Gannon the sexiest athlete of the year due to a major photographer mix-up. Which teammate ended up featured instead?
By the way, Rich Gannon's a handsome guy. He was.
Still is.
It's got to be. It's got to be.
Segment's got a theme right now.
It's got to be Elvis Gerbach.
Yeah, because he was on the team, and you would think the other quarterback
was he on the team.
I think in 1988, Elvis Gerbach was on the Chiefs.
Elvis Gerbach's a good-looking dude too.
Yeah,
played at Michigan.
So.
All right, so there we are.
There we go. So the facility didn't know, the photographer didn't know what Rich Gannon looked like. He asked where the quarterback was, and someone pointed to Elvis Gerbach. Gerbach posed for the photos, and the magazine didn't realize the mistake until it was too late.
Did Gerbach not say, hey, why are we taking this picture?
I mean, no, I'm probably said, like, hey,
go back to the list again, Brandon, because Tony Gonzalez, Donnell Bennett, and Derek Thomas are all black.
No, Tony Gonzalez is.
Well,
Hispanic,
that's right. Hispanic, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
That wouldn't preclude them from being sexy, though.
No, I'm not saying that, but
Okay, I mean,
Rich Gannon and Elvis Gerbach, that's why I said Gerbach, because he's the only white guy in that list. All right.
But you would confuse him. Okay, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Is DJ Lagway the savior for Baylor?
Well, not yet.
49% yes and not yet. Wins 32% maybe if he stays healthy. Rising top 25 for sure. 10-pin and yes, Big 12 title contenders.
The only way is if he actually does sign and play for them, and he does somehow bring aboard 6 to 8 players that join Baylor in the offseason, transfer portal or otherwise, because he's at Baylor.
Yeah, I answered no one player isn't enough if I had my vote. I think he could be good if he stays healthy, but there's just so many wild cards here. The people around him, which is obviously part of the delay in his decision right now, is trying to figure out who's going to be around him. I think the obvious answer right now is no, one player isn't enough. And that's what I said when they got involved with him to begin with. But he's a guy who needs an opportunity as well. I mean, he's kind of calling the shots, but he's also got a lot of proving to do in his own right. So, I hope they land him just to give them something interesting to talk about, because otherwise I can't imagine them having to pivot and go get, I don't know who they'd go get. I mean, Dylan Raiola or something like that, I guess. I don't know.
But this was the guy that they could get those other guys to come in.
Right.
And if they don't get him, and if they do, I mean, and they start going down the line where you wind up in the, like, oh, okay, well, it's Hank Bachmeier's not the guy, but what's the Eli Holstein? Is Eli Holstein going to bring people in? Like that?
Absolutely not,
exactly.
Dude. He got benched at Pitt last year and was awful. So no.
So, but like that's where if they don't get Lagway, then they're skating on the territory of that's the kind of
some people are sleeping on Nate Bennett, who's on the roster right now. Not a bad player.
Okay, next poll: who wins the rematch and punches their ticket to the Natty? 75%.
Oh, look at the votes. 776.
The Italian stallion, Kurt Signetti.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. 6:30, just after 6:30. Excuse me. Kick on ESPN. Winner will get Miami, and the winner, no matter who it is, will be favored at least right now, slightly by up to 5 points to beat the Hurricanes. What a game last night. If we get anything like that tonight, that'll be awesome. Hey, one quick note. Liberty football coach Jamie Chadwell, not sure if you've heard this, diagnosed with a serious but treatable medical condition, medical plan diagnosed by the doctors, and it's an update from Liberty. So thinking about Jamie Chadwell, we had him on the show and wish him the best in health. All right? Brandon Rowe, thank you very much. Garrett Ross, thank you. Also, thanks to Andrew Valade. You can hit the like button on your way out, and thanks to our great sponsors. Paul, thank you. Craig Smoak, thank you. I'm David Smoak. Have a great weekend, and good night.